Welcome, everybody, to Justice Served Daily. Appreciate you being here today. And today will be a very special broadcast just because I have my whole team here almost until our other joins us. I'm not sure where she is yet. But one, I want to let everybody know thank you for coming to the show for the second time. I know we were scheduled before, and I apologize for that. That ended up to be a medical emergency and a sudden day of surgery that I didn't plan. So I appreciate y'all coming back here and joining us. But welcome, everybody. I see you. Hello, Silky Southern Tea, aka Silky. Hi, Kelp, Half Pint, Phantom 67. I'd like to introduce the gang that's up here right now. And these are a group of ladies that we started together because of our love of this particular case and bonded over that. We were just people chatting in the chat like you guys are and would commonly see each other's names and ended up becoming really good friends through that. Maybe a little bit also because of a little trauma in there too. But we won't get into that part. But we have watched the Delphi case from the very beginning with each other. And so we're really thrilled to talk about that case today in very specific detail, going through each one of the timeline aspects of everything, kind of filling in the blanks, connecting all these pieces to the puzzle. So I would like to introduce the ladies up here. And so we have Miss Amy. Hello, Miss Amy. Can you hear me?
I think she's on mute.
Is she on mute? I can't. Miss Amy and I have met through all of this stuff. We didn't know each other for a long time and met through that and then got to know each other better. So great detective work. I know if I'm looking something up, she's already looking it up at the same time. So we're doing stuff. And we have Miss Page. Hello, Miss Page.
Hi.
You're going to love her accent because I can't get over it. I love it so much. And she is one of the sweetest and kind people. Not that Amy isn't, but as Amy knows, Paige and Mama Bear are our softer side of the show. And plus Paige, we call her our baby in the group. So, yes. So, and then, and we have Mama Bear, who
hi everybody,
who tries to take care of all of us. God help her.
Yeah.
And we always have kind motherly words and stuff that come from her. So her name fits her well. And then, we have, let's see if she's in here or not now. I don't see.
I think she has to take someone to the hospital. That's why she's not joining us.
The doctor's appointment. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So, well, we're going to go
chat though.
We're going to go ahead and get started, and we're going to kind of share this like our regular discussions that we have with each other. And we'll be presenting some things to you and some things that were very eye-opening to us. Wouldn't you guys agree that we just kind of figured out as we put that timeline back together?
Yeah.
Yes.
And the effort that you guys have put into creating this timeline is absolutely phenomenal as well. I just want to say.
Absolutely.
It's incredible.
Yeah, so we're going to share that. And let me pull up that first and allow you guys to be able to see that. All right. So we're going to start here from the beginning and go through some things that you never realized at the time until you go backwards and start filling in some things that were happening that you just didn't realize. And I think this will also help anybody if you're, maybe came in late to the case and you're not, familiar from the
Fully
very
aware.
beginning things that happen. So we're going to try to go through that and help anybody also with new. So as we know, this case started on February 13th, where Liberty German, who we call Libby, and Abigail, or we call Abby Williams, went for a hike near the Monon High Bridge. That's in Delphi, Indiana, a very small town. It was a school day off because of snow. So in Indiana, if you don't use up all the snow days because you didn't have enough snow, they let you go ahead and have those days still off. So we kind of go through the timeline of everything here. Let me make sure I can pull this up. There we go. All right. So we know on Monday, February 13th, the day that the girls had went missing, at 11:53 a.m., Ron Logan is seen on video at the transfer station in Delphi, Indiana, to drop off trash driving his white Ford pickup truck. Now, you wonder why this is all going on. This whole timeline is generated from us looking at all the probable cause affidavits, including, as you can tell, Ron Logan's, including information that we've had from interviews, from news sources, and all of that. And we're going to be showing you those news source links as we get to those too. So at 1:26 p.m., after a few minutes, approximately, a witness who took photographs encountered BG, the bridge guy. After taking photos, she saw a man on trail coming from the Freedom Bridge. So I know a lot of people, when you guys say it, a lot of people turn around and get confused between the difference of the Freedom Bridge and the Monon High Bridge. So,
Yes.
the Freedom Bridge itself is the bridge that's basically going over the highway itself. And the Monon High Bridge is the bridge you always see that they show in the pictures where the girls were actually walking across.
Yeah.
So just to clarify that, because I know that gets confusing for people. At 1:27 p.m., Richard Allen's 2016 black Ford Focus was seen on Hoosier Harvestor's video, which coincides with his statement of arrival time. And then, so Richard Allen, we noted this in here, Richard Allen stated in the police interview in 2017 that he was there from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. And he stated that he parked at the Farm Bureau building, but police believe actually what he meant is the actual CPS building.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to pause right here with the beginning of the 1:30 p.m. Richard Allen arrives. So let's discuss that elephant in the room, ladies, about that 2017 Richard Allen had come forward saying he was there.
Oh boy.
It's a big one to swallow.
I don't know. I don't know what to make of it.
I don't think anybody does.
I mean,
because he just approached a police officer, right? Like he didn't actually go into the.
No, it was a conversation. It was that, oh my gosh.
The
I can't
conservation
remember the
officer.
name.
But
Yeah.
the word conservation officer. So he didn't go in anywhere. According to
Yeah.
the information, he went and met this conservation officer outside of a grocery store
Right.
and then talked to him to say, hey, by the way, I was there. And then the guy took note of it at the time.
Well, that's
Which,
so suspicious to me.
yeah.
Like, just blurting it out to him, it sounds like. You know.
Yeah, why didn't he go into the actual police station? You
Yeah,
know?
like if he thought it was really important to say
Mm-hmm.
that information.
I really wish we knew when he exactly spoke to the conservation officer. We don't really have an idea of if it was right away before the bridge guy image was published, or if it was,
Yeah.
maybe he was felt a little bit pressured then to go forward after he saw himself plastered all over the news, or it could be that he started worrying about the girls that saw him that day and knew that they would probably be contacted, and he wanted to get ahead of it, right? By putting it out there why he was there, because it's really odd to begin with, a random middle of the day on a Monday,
Yeah.
I don't know his
Yeah.
work schedule, but I mean, what reason could he possibly have for just even being there,
Well,
Yeah.
Kat just wrote in chat, she said, now did he arrange to meet this officer or just ran into him? Was it planned? Kel is a part of our group, by the way, everybody. So,
Yes.
Hi, Kelt.
So
I think that when in the information that was in there, it sounded like that he arranged to meet the officer, that they kind of talked. My thing is that, remember, they never released the name of the officer.
Yeah.
Right.
In they acknowledge that he spoke to somebody, and then they leave it blank. They don't say who it is. So I'm curious if he maybe was already familiar with that officer. Maybe they could have known each other already.
Mhm.
That's a good point.
If he was there from there. And that as we go further into this timeline, because remember, we're still into day one,
Right.
of just telling the hours, we're going to see where they do start coming forward and showing photos and then the video. And so we're guesstimating within that timeline that he would have come forward. I agree. I think he did it because he had to. Because if he would have not said something, and the teenagers who saw him, right, that were the IDM, the lady who pulled up and saw him on the other side of the bridge, all of those people could have easily said, I saw him, and then they would immediately be like, well, why didn't he come forward? And it kind of gave him a cop out, right? He could go to them, but not straight towards the Delphi Police Department or the Indiana State Police or any of them.
Exactly.
Well, what's strange is obviously he did admit to being there during those hours, but he never said anything about when the sketch was released. If that was him, yeah, that is me, in that image as well that Libby took on her phone.
Mm-hmm.
Why didn't he admit that if he knew that was him? Why admit that you were on the trails but not admit that's you?
Right. He could have said something and put the investigation on a better target, right? Because he could have said, "Oh no, that's me. And I was looking at fish and checking my stocks and out for a stroll that day. That's just innocent me there on the bridge. You need to find this is not the image of the person you need to put out there to the public to be looking for."
Right.
But that's he just none of that happened, and that's such a good point to bring out. Like, we know some things that happened, but what didn't happen? That's such a good kind of train of thought to go down, because the logical thing would be if you're innocent and you do want to help the investigation, because everybody was in that crisis mode of just, we've got to find this guy.
Right.
He could have said, that's the wrong guy you're throwing up there on the screen. That's me.
Truly wanted to help.
Yes,
Yeah.
Right.
but no, he didn't.
He
And
was just a
remember-
person of interest at that point. He wasn't a suspect. They
Mhm.
were just looking for this person to help them, you know?
Well, he was,
So-
and he wasn't anything because nobody put it in front of
Exactly.
anybody
No.
that
Mhm.
would have. I mean, I would have to imagine that no matter what, the Delphi police would be capable of thinking somebody's a suspect who says, I'm there at the exact times, I'm on the actual bridge, and I was wearing the clothing that you're looking for.
Yeah,
Right.
and I look like the damn guy.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely.
Right.
So when we go into this next part, at 1:49 p.m., it's confirmed by video of Hoosier Harvest Store entrance across from the Mears farm that Liberty and Abigail were dropped off to go hiking near the Monon High Bridge, just east of Delphi, and they were dropped off by Kelsey German, so Libby's sister. And we have a video that will show from that of, let me click down off my share screen so that Amy can share her screen. Let me see. I think I have to unshare mine, don't I?
I have no idea.
I
Is it
see
working?
Amy's. Add to stream.
Okay.
I'm clicking right now.
I'm going to go back to it then. Ready?
Hold on. Let me
Yeah.
make sure that's on. Okay. Uh-oh.
I can see it. I think it's on a slide.
In this Parker,
Hold on. Sorry, guys.
There it
It
is.
popped up. I don't know why it went, but we'll figure it out.
Was there a problem? Do I need to fix something?
There it goes. I see it up
Are
there.
we good? Okay.
Yeah.
this afternoon, they were found at 1 o'clock yesterday where they went missing. Now, as far as the investigation, I can tell you that state police and the FBI have been on the scene now for several hours. A number of units and teams have been here trying to gather information to try to put this case together. But again, until the coroner speaks, we will not know the identity.
Well, I don't know what happened.
StreamYard likes to be that way.
JSD, you might have more bandwidth there to work with. I don't know what to do to free up. Bandwidth.
If you want to play it too, and then we also just listen to the actual
It
sound
just
of the
stopped.
report, we're okay.
Okay, I don't know why it's playing an ad.
Because it wants to.
To make money.
2 bodies
Okay.
found, no one in custody. And Candace, if you walk up and down Main Street, you will also hear from people who are confident that law enforcement in this city will make an arrest at some point. But now at 4 o'clock on the Now Indy, the big question are the 2 bodies. Are these the 2 missing teenage girls? This is what I can tell you right now. Police telling me right now that the bodies, at this point, they cannot identify the bodies of being that of Libby German and Abby Williams, the 2 girls missing since 1 o'clock yesterday. They were walking together along the old Monon Bridge just east of town. They did not meet a relative at their pickup location, so those relatives called police around 5:30. So a search has been going on throughout the day since yesterday. As I show you now these images from Skycam 6 in HD, the investigation, I am told, involves city and state police as well as the FBI. Authorities are treating this entire area you see here like a crime scene because they believe, in their words, that foul play was involved because of the way the bodies were found in Deer Creek, a mile east of Delphi. State police today spoke on behalf of the families.
The family asked us to do is to thank all the communities around Delphi and the people here in Delphi for assisting in attempting to locate these the two young children that were missing earlier. They just wanted to say thank you to those people, and thank you. They were just wanted to express their gratitude toward the hard work that was done in helping search for these children.
Yeah, the mother of one of the girls missing is here on the scene. We asked if she's been given any new information. She did not want to comment at this time, so we're going to leave her alone, give her the space that she needs, and she says she'll talk to us at some point, and we said okay. We are working on a number of developing stories as this story continues this afternoon. The number one, of course, is I'll have the very latest on the investigation, as well as my colleague, Derek Thomas, who is several blocks from here, talking to some of the members of the community and what they think about what has happened here in the city of Delphi. And then I had a chance just maybe 30 minutes ago to catch up with the lunch lady, the lady that fed the two teenage girls every day at the middle school. We'll have more of my conversation with the lunch lady tonight on the news at 6. We're live in Delphi. Rafael Sanchez, RTV6.
It's just heartbreaking to listen to that story from the beginning, you know, when it started from, you know, the girls being missing to now, you know what I mean? It's just,
Yeah, like in the beginning, bodies were found, but they couldn't be identified straight away.
Right.
But
yeah,
obviously everyone at that time thought it was the girls, and unfortunately it turned out to be true.
Yep.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just breaks my heart still. So just looking at, then we go from 2:07 p.m. After this, obviously in the same timeline of that day, Libby posted a photo on her Snapchat account showing Abby walking across the old railroad bridge. And, you know, for anybody who isn't familiar with the case, the reason that happened too is that, you know, Libby had been more familiar with crossing over that bridge than Abby. And if you're scared of heights whatsoever, such as I don't think I would cross that bridge at a teenage age, right? I just don't think I would want to do that.
I have dreams of crossing it.
And I don't think so. I can't even imagine.
No way.
I would love to try. I really would.
Yeah. I mean, it would be in honor of them, right? But they'd have to add some more boards and maybe support it more before I'd go across. Maybe. But so we got 2:09 p.m. A call is placed using Ron Logan's cell phone. Produce a cell tower data that shows that Logan's cell phone appears to be in or around his property, although his exact location cannot be confirmed. Okay, so let me say this. I only put stuff in here of anything that we know is like actual proven fact, and we know that it's in there, rather than assumptions made by any probable cause, right? So,
right.
I mean, are any of you surprised that Ron Logan's cell phone would actually
ping at his property?
At his house?
Where he lived?
Yeah. I mean, come on now.
That is quite strange.
Right.
Yeah.
Not in my opinion, no.
Mm-mm.
I mean, and that's this is exactly the words that were taken from there. So it's not like there's something, an epiphany here. It's not, it even puts its own doubt in there where it says his exact location can't be confirmed. Well, crap, you're saying he's at his house. It's not like Delphi's that big and there's a million towers all over the place.
Gray Hughes did a really good job of showing where, I'm sorry, Gray Hughes did a really good job of showing exactly where that tower is, and it's just right there. I mean, so of course his phone's gonna ping. It's nothing. It's his property. He was cleared. They searched extensively all 40 acres of his stuff and his vehicles. I mean, it's all okay. People need to get off the Ron Logan stuff. It's really getting old.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a difference between that and the Richard Allen, because they found things when they searched his property.
Yeah,
Right. They took things away.
yeah.
They arrested him. They had enough
Right,
to get
right.
a judge to approve a probable cause affidavit for his arrest.
Exactly.
It's the right guy. People, we just need to move on from Ron Logan.
Here's the thing. I mean, isn't the bigger point of who they took after they did a search warrant of Richard Allen's house is that they actually took Richard Allen? I mean,
Yeah.
they searched Ron Logan, and we hit this during the timeline of how many times they've searched Ron Logan's either property and or home, and one thing they did not take was Ron Logan.
Right. He did get arrested later for something else, for his probation violation for his DUI stuff.
Right.
It's just
So we're still on that same day at 2:10 p.m. We have a male witness sees vehicle parked near the CPS building, and they're describing a purple PT Cruiser or small SUV type vehicle backed up to the CPS building. He also advised he remembers seeing a smaller dark car parked at CPS building. He described as a possible smart car. So I'm going to pause big time on this one for a big long second. And I want to emphasize that when you read that, does anybody feel like he's describing only one vehicle or possibly multiple vehicles here?
Well, definitely two, because he's talking about a PT Cruiser, but then he says he remembers seeing a smaller dark car.
Yep.
So that's two different cars, surely.
Yeah, and a purple PT Cruiser is very specific. Very specific in my mind.
The color purple, yeah.
That's what separates it to me from the second sentence. There's a whole second statement that begins, he also advised he remembers seeing.
Yeah.
And so to me, with the word also, and then when you've got like Mama Bear said, a purple PT Cruiser is a very distinct car. It's like you could say purple PT Cruiser, period, and nothing more. Or, maybe a purple SUV type or something, a dark SUV type. But that's different from the next thing that the witness talks about. So I think it's very much just, it's two vehicles this person saw. That's my opinion.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
And you got to remember that the focus of this person, this human being driving by, if you're just driving down the street and you pass a building and you glance over and you see a couple of cars, and maybe you pay attention because it's a little bit unusual the way they're parked, you didn't stare at that for the longest time. I could tell you to look at something on the left and then ask you what's on the right, and maybe you didn't even see something on the right because your purpose, you were not driving down the street to check out the cars. You're just going to know, I do remember this, and this is about what I thought I saw. And what was
like
it?
Me, myself, I don't drive. I've never driven. And if someone asks me, like, what car my partner's got, I'll say it's a silver one because I've got no idea what type of car it is. So I would definitely remember the color of it. So the fact that they're saying that they think it's purple, like, I feel like it's purple. Because that's something I would probably remember is definitely the color, even if I didn't know anything else about the car.
So I'm going to ask this generally in the question here to you guys. Should we mention anything in our discovery about the PT Cruiser, or should we hold off?
I'll leave that one to Amy.
Yeah, whoever found the information, if they want to share it, I fully am behind you, 100%.
Google Earth is a funny thing. When you look at videos of certain addresses associated with people in the case, and you see what kind of vehicles they drive, you can see things on Google Earth that are compelling. With maybe a relative of a Klein having at one point a purple PT Cruiser. And that's a very unique car. And we've
Mhm.
looked at the photo from the top, when we were discussing this, all of us, kind of looking at it and examining from the different angles we could get of that parked vehicle.
Right.
It's I find it compelling that there is something like a very unique purple PT Cruiser looking vehicle parked near a Klein family residence, and it's Google Earth, so there's no shenanigans with that. But I don't have that image with me. I didn't know if we were going to talk about it.
Well, we'll just kind of drop that in there. We can bring, I'm sure that when we go to the later on, people have questions about stuff. But I think the big thing is to note, as a lot of people remember, so we know Tony Klein, Keegan Klein's dad, works for Chrysler. We also know that Tony Klein's father, Keegan Klein's grandfather, also worked for Chrysler.
Right.
And we did check into about the makes and how long that they made the PT Cruisers, which we saw till 2010 manufactured. And so, and just the generational who usually picked up the cars. As a special note, those cars were a piece of crap. Okay, I'm just going to say it loud. They were a piece of crap. They looked so nice. It was kind of to appeal to people who like that older car look, but it was a piece of crap. So, so yes, there is a connection that there could be access to this purple PT Cruiser in that family. So that was something that we were all going crazy with looking at and doing stuff too. So,
and it does feel relevant since kind of Keegan has asserted himself into it by saying he was waiting.
right,
In
right.
a vehicle. Doesn't mean he was telling the truth about the vehicle he was in, or there could have been another vehicle.
Sure.
Yeah.
But we know for sure that there's a witness to seeing a vehicle like that parked at the CPS building, and another potential type of car that would fit more of the Richard Allen vehicle with that small, dark car that could possibly be a smart car.
Mhm.
Right.
Basically what Richard's car looked like, because especially if his was the hatchback version of the, what was it, a Ford? What are those little cars? Gosh, I forgot the name of it.
I'm not the person to ask.
It wasn't a Focus.
It wasn't a Focus, but anyway, that type of sedan. It's a sedan, but it has this type that has a spoiler on the back with a hatchback kind of trunk, and so you could kind of see that as maybe a possible smart car. Anyway, so that's just those are the two that this guy saw at about 2:10 parked at the CPS.
So to answer the question, I hate to even, I'm scared to pronounce it wrong. Ducking felonies. There was the witness that, one of the witnesses that saw the vehicles worked across the street from the CPS building in another location and had spotted the vehicles coming from and leaving work. So, and I apologize for my dog going crazy.
Aww, he wants to be involved.
Yeah, he loves true crime. And he just, let me interpret, he just said, what an idiot to drive a purple car to a crime scene. That's what.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Oh, Kel put in chat Ford Fusion.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Is that it? No,
I think
that can't be it. Oh, go ahead.
Or,
Yeah, it is. It
or a
probably is.
Focus. Or a Focus.
Yeah, I think it's a Focus. Now that you
Yeah,
say that.
yeah, that's the one.
That's the
wasn't
one.
sure.
Focus hatchback.
It was a Focus. You're right.
So then we go into that at 2:13 p.m. is when Libby's phone, Libby's phone records video of bridge guy approaching them. And we learn it is recorded on one of the girls heard saying them say gun near the end of the video. And that BG is heard saying guys down the hill. I say it plural because I swear I hear guys. But
yeah, me too.
And then at that point, this was the last time that anyone heard or saw the girls, and the last time Richard Allen, aka BG guy, is seen. So then we've got 214, where the witness, after a walk, her car seen leaving on video of Hoosier Harvest Store, and she saw no other adult then, or then a guy on the bridge. She was leaving westbound and saw while leaving a vehicle parked near the CPS building, and was oddly parked, weird, and backed into the CPS building.
Right.
We've got 2:28 p.m. blank vehicle is seen leaving Hoosier Harvest Store video. And I think blank for everybody, that is just the not identifying, I believe, a witness's car.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, it's corroborated her story with the time she said she left, and they caught that on camera. So why would she be lying about the vehicle she saw parked at CPS?
Right.
Exactly.
And they don't want to confuse the vehicles from everything that's being identified. So we've got 3:14 p.m. The girls were supposed to be picked up at approximately around 3 p.m. And the girls had a set time to meet with family members to be picked up. So when the family showed up to get them, they were nowhere to be found. And then that's when the family began canvassing the area for Libby and Abby, but could not locate them. So basically at this point, we know they're calling in the sister, the grandma, everybody of, hey, we can't find them. And it's family members who are going out there to try to help at that point.
Yeah.
Right.
So at 3:57, so I mean, this is what haunts me. And it haunts me more because the time is even longer than I thought.
Yeah.
That we've always heard and known that when the dad came to pick them up, that the killer was still on site.
Right.
And we always heard that. We didn't know how they would know it, right? We were always like, how the heck did they know that?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, how we kept, originally we heard he was there maybe 15, 20 minutes still. But then you look at that at 3:57 p.m., a witness sees a man walking west on 300 North who was muddy and bloody. And just those words freak me out. Itself.
Yes.
Hear that.
I remember when you first read the affidavit and it stated that. And yeah, like you said, in the beginning, I kind of felt like maybe this was somehow done quickly. I don't know whether I kind of hoped it was done quickly, but from this kind of timeline, it feels like he was with the girls for much longer than we thought.
Right.
Well, and if you guys remember, the one big thing that I know at the beginning that was puzzling me was we've all heard the different information that's come out about and obviously confirmation of the girls being moved, right? They believe they were moved somewhat. We don't know how much, but moved. We've heard about maybe a staging, right? Of how the girls were staged for photo, again, based on probable cause, about possible souvenirs taken. So you've got to think from the time that you see that the video or the picture shows, camera shows 2:13. They're supposed to be picked up 3:14. That's an hour later. So they had to, the girls had to be murdered. And then after the girls were murdered, you're thinking that, okay, they got moved, they got staged, maybe there was photos taken, and then souvenirs were taken. So that at the time didn't make sense to me if the murderer or murderers were there for only 15 to 20 minutes more.
Yeah.
Because I kept thinking that doesn't seem like a lot of time. But that a witness sees the person on 300 North at 3:57. That dad had been there for like 40 some minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
and looking for the
thing.
girls. And they were
Mm.
in the woods. He was still in the woods with those girls.
That is heartbreaking. That is infuriating. For Derek, my heart is broken thinking about that.
Yes.
It's so hard to process. I can't imagine.
I
Like,
can't imagine. Nope.
everyone says and criticizes him for not really speaking much since. And I can completely understand why.
Me too.
Yep.
I
What do
wouldn't
you
know what to
say?
say. I wouldn't know what
Yeah.
to say. Yeah, no.
Mhm.
Yeah.
God.
That I could have found my baby. She was there
Oh,
the whole
That I
time.
could have
I mean,
that I
the
could have
only
punched
reason,
face of the guy.
he didn't find them and that he did not see them is because he
Right.
went down the second trail instead of the first one.
yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh.
I couldn't even imagine. And then who God only knows what could have happened at that point.
I know.
So then we have 5:21 p.m. This is a receipt from Aquarium World in Lafayette, Indiana, showing Ron Logan checkout time, that he was actually leaving there at that time. Right? So at 5:30 p.m., after the families had been looking to try to find the girls, they finally contact the Carroll County Sheriff's Department. Again, another heartbreaking thing is that the girls were already gone. You know what I mean? It already all happened that quickly.
Right.
So the Carroll County Sheriff's Department, Delphi Police Department, and Delphi Fire Department were joined by the Department of Natural Resources, which that's where you get into that officer that Richard Allen spoke to, right? That's where the conservation officer comes from, the Department of Natural Resources, to search for the two missing girls. And I'll tell you, one of my things is, did he sit here and was he out there, or was any of his family out there searching for the girls too? Because there were a lot. There were 300 people who ended up going out there to search, and all from that local community. And how close by he was is horrifying.
Right.
But so we've got another video that talks about that to show where that source came from. Amy, are you ready for that one? Let me take mine down. Put hers up.
Two missing girls, 13-year-old Abigail Williams and Liberty German, were reported missing yesterday. The family dropped them off to go hiking near High Bridge. When the girls didn't show up for their arranged pickup time, family and friends started a search. They were last seen yesterday afternoon. Police, sheriffs, firefighters, and the Department of Natural Resources are all involved in the search for those teenagers right now.
Oh, yeah, it's an ad. Wow. We've got about 50 seconds worth of ad left.
That's okay.
Oh, God. Okay.
I tell you, when you see the video,
right,
of the parents still with hope that they're going to find the girls, and you know that they're already gone, it just kills me.
I remember Kelsey talking about bringing them some snacks, some blankets and stuff.
Right.
Oh, heartbreaking.
You were talking yesterday, Paige, about it being Libby's birthday.
Yeah.
Yesterday, and she would. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. She would have been 20 years old yesterday, which is absolutely crazy to think. We know how much time has passed, but you never truly connect that until I
You've
saw
got
it
temperatures
yesterday.
today that will make your way into the middle 40s. Quite a bit of sunshine as
Why are
well.
we
Now
getting
it will
the
feel a
weather?
bit cooler as we've got.
Why the weather?
Because
Is
it's
this
been
the
horrible
is this
here and
the
it should be 45.
is it current weather or historical weather?
It's raining really bad here.
It's cold here. Hey, we had sleet on Christmas.
Oh, I'm glad we haven't had any more snow. Oh.
JSD, why do you know why it's doing this?
Because it sucks. I don't know why StreamYard does that.
Well,
The
you asked, you got an
technology
honest answer.
Horrible.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, looks like it's going back now.
My hometown, Franklin, Indiana. Hi. Okay. My obligation to the community is to give back, to be present, to be honest. I want to thank you both for doing this. I know this is so short notice. Every place is great, but then it's the people who make a difference wherever we live. So what's that? Family, friends, community, right?
Right, evil CJ. Live is the best way to go, right?
To make this a good place to live.
No,
Temperatures
I
are on the
refuse.
move.
What
How
is
about
what is
that? The deep
this?
freeze in the rearview mirror.
cracking me
We'll
up.
talk in a second
Is
about
this
what
some
comes with the warmer temperatures. You can
WRTV
see the jump
fuckery here? I
during
don't.
the day.
I do
Wednesday,
not
settling
like
OMG.
to
this.
50 degrees, maybe a little warmer on Thursday.
Okay, I'm at the correct address for this article. I just don't. I'm so sorry. I don't know what's happening. I don't get it.
Oh, I think it just popped in there. Okay, well they said something. Let's pop it on. We know they were dropped off. That's the beautiful. Sometimes they work and sometimes they don't, and it's okay.
Oh my
It
gosh.
it's not an overly critical part, right? We're not going to freak yet. This is good stuff. Yes, Kelt, I will bring up about the dates. She's asking about the dates of death are different for the girls. And that's
Right.
because they let the parents choose that.
Yeah.
So it was chosen for the 13th, and then one was chose the 14th.
Yeah, Liberty was the 13th and Abby was the 14th.
Right.
And, you know, that's personal circumstances. We don't know why, but it's not important.
Yeah. So then we get into 5:30 p.m. was the last successful ping of the cellular from AT&T. So this was the police trying to get that. So Sheriff Toby Lesenby said the crews began canvassing the area and tried pinging the girls' cell phones into the evening hours, but led no success in finding them. Let me clarify that statement. Both girls did not have cell phones. Only Libby had a cell phone. So the sheriff said that they believe the girls' phones were either dead or turned off. At 7:56 p.m., an analysis of Ron Logan's cell phone data revealed a text message was sent from his phone. I'm going to say this clearly. That doesn't mean shit. Who cares?
It's just because it's factual information that we know.
Yeah, that's what that's.
Right.
But we're putting it in there. We're putting in that they can say they know that it revealed a text message was sent. And then at 10:16 p.m., analysis said that somebody actually responded back to Ron Logan's text. So they're just showing that pings were happening, that Ron Logan was at home in his house.
And using his phone like a normal human.
Right.
Right.
So at 11:45 p.m., the search was called off just before midnight. And the family members continued to scour that area, though, searching for Libby and Abby. And then at that point in time, Sheriff Lesenby told WRTV News that they had no reason to believe that the girls were in imminent danger and crews would resume their search in the morning. Okay, go ahead, ladies. Let's start that point right there.
How in the hell can
Oh,
you
gosh.
make a statement like that? Number one.
Where
My
were the
God.
dogs?
Yes.
Right.
They're young girls out in the dark. Their family thinks they're missing. No one knows where they are. How can they not be in danger?
Right.
If they've only
If it's your kid and they're not home in the middle of the night, they're in danger.
So let's
Exactly.
just leave them out there then. Like, that's fine. They're not in danger. They're just camping out together. Like, what did he think they were doing?
They weren't prepared for the weather, period. You know,
Right.
I mean, come on.
And like victimology, like their families knew they weren't the type of girls that would just do this.
No.
They weren't having fun somewhere doing something. They were in danger. Well, at that point, they were already dead. And they still didn't even make that conclusion yet. So the fact that they can say they're not even in danger is kind of disgusting.
Well,
Now what we know.
I think the other major part is, at first you hear that the reason they wanted to stop, or part of the reason they were stopping the search, was due to the safety of all these volunteers. But that's not true, because you still had all the parents and other people who were helping them
Yeah,
to look after midnight.
they
Right.
tried as late as they could.
Right. So they were still doing this. So then you've got the other thing that this is you left a crime scene freaking open to anybody
Overnight.
around it.
God.
Like
Like if it was Ron Logan, like they could have thought it was him at that point. Would he not have full access to that crime scene and like nobody would see what he's doing overnight? Like like and now we know Richard Allen lived so close. Not saying that anything was manipulated overnight, but it could have been, and they left it open for that, like you said.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And the elements would have gotten to things. Did it rain?
Exactly.
I don't know.
I think that the other big thing is there. I mean, I'm going to be honest. Even if it wasn't my kid and I knew little kids were missing, I'm out there searching.
Yeah, I'm sorry as well. Like, how could you have been in that police force and gone to bed that night? Like, I couldn't have gone home. No.
It's crazy. And so that's where you get into the issue of stuff that they tried to collect as evidence out there, and then you don't know what had been contaminated with other people's DNA or whatever, right? Anything
Right.
else that's
Yeah.
out there.
Yep.
So then we get into Tuesday, February 14th, the day the girls were found. So at 9 a.m., and this is approximate, law enforcement asked consent to search Ron Logan's property. Now, not inside his home. This is just outside the property itself. And at 10 a.m., all crews were called to the area near the Monon High Bridge to resume their search for Libby and Abby. And then by 12:17 p.m., Libby and Abby were located, and they found them deceased. We also have where that's where the Delphi fire chief announced that they had found Libby and Abby, and they called the discovery not good because basically they didn't officially verify that it was them. They have to officially confirm that that's that.
Yeah.
And then at 1:50 p.m., the Indiana State Police, Kim Riley, she's the public information officer for Carroll County Sheriff, Toby Lesenby, and Delphi Police Chief Steve Mullins hold a joint press conference to announce that the two bodies were found. While the crews were searching for Libby and Abby. And at the time, the bodies were not officially identified but search efforts were officially scaled back. So, and we have, there's video and stuff from that. And I think that press conference is pretty short, maybe. I'm thinking if we go to the press conference, Amy, just the second one, that bottom video, maybe at 1:50.
I'm sorry. I was prepared for the I was
Okay,
prepared
no.
for the 1st
We'll go
video.
there.
I didn't, huh?
We'll go there. We will go
Yeah.
there.
I was not able to pull up more than one at a time.
That's all right. You're
Okay.
cool. Let me add that. And remove that. All right.
And until late into the evening, maybe not even until tomorrow morning. This much I can tell you right now. I can tell you that 2 bodies were removed from the river just a few minutes ago in the same area where those 13-year-old girls were found. And of course, at this point, authorities are not identifying the 2 bodies as that belonging to, of course, the 2 girls you just talked about, Libby German and Abby Williams. They were in the same area where in this park here this afternoon. They were found at 1 o'clock yesterday where they went missing. As far as the investigations, I can tell you that state police and the FBI have been on the scene now for several hours. A number of units and teams have been here trying to gather information to try to put this case together. But again, until the coroner speaks, we will not know the identity.
So we know that's
wondering
about
if-
the identity not being they're not
I'll try to
identified
find
at
press
that point.
conference.
Okay.
This is still an ad. I think we're going to get into that problem of the ads again here on this website. Do you want me to, while you go through some things or talk, I can
Okay.
probably let
See,
the
it's-
press conference maybe in YouTube where there wouldn't be ads, or I don't know.
It should. Some of them are YouTube when you go in them. It just depends. If you take a look. Let me pull
Yeah,
this up here.
I'm clicking on the links in the document to do this, and it seems like it's taking us to the websites where there's a bunch of ads. You guys talk amongst yourselves and whatever, and I will get the press conference pulled up. Okay.
Not a problem. All right, so we're gonna go on to the Wednesday, February 15th, 2:33 p.m. Authorities positively identify the 2 bodies found Tuesday as Abigail Williams and Liberty German during a press conference held in Delphi. Autopsies were performed earlier that day in Terre Haute, according to authorities. Then at 6:50 p.m., the Indiana State Police release a photo of a man they believe was on the Delphi Historical Trail around the time that Abigail Williams and Liberty German were there. Indiana State Police announced they want to speak with the man pictured or anyone parked in the lot near the bridge about what they may have saw. So right there is the first time that we have a photo. It's not a video. It's not sound yet. It's just the actual photo itself.
And they wouldn't tell us where it came from yet.
No. So what's interesting, though, you already have them trying to sit here talking about we're parking lot near the bridge.
Yes.
And then you already have the photo of the guy.
So they already have their phone.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to go ahead and jump ahead. And Amy, you tell me where you want us to stop. Okay. You just let me know. Thursday, February 16th. This is one that a lot of people don't know. This was the first search warrant done in the Delphi case. Was on Thursday, February 16th at a home there on Bicycle Ridge Road. Police spent 2 hours taking photos and collecting evidence from the scene, but no arrests were made. This is not Ron Logan's house. This was not the Klein's house. This wasn't any of that. This was a first location house that was searched. Should I add any more detail to that, ladies, or do you think it's good to leave it like that?
Whatever you think, I back you.
It was just of a young man where he lives there, and the search just, searched from there. They didn't go into detail of why they decided to go, but for some reason it led straight to that house first.
Mm-hmm.
And being around here, let me tell you, they searched, barns and garages and stuff like crazy. I mean, they were all over the place looking for stuff. So, but I'd like to bring that one up because there's one that, people really didn't overly focus on at the time. So then we go, we do have a video of them at that house, but maybe we'll surpass that since that didn't mean anything. But we do have the video. When you see everything online, those are all connected to web links that we have proof videos or stories from. So that tells you where we got all that from. So
Mm-hmm.
Friday, February 17th, 2017, hundreds of investigators joined the search for Libby and Abby's killer. So on Sunday, February 19th, the man in the photo is officially named a prime suspect in Abby and Libby's murders. So I just want everybody to concept that already. The guy they know is in the picture. It is a still photo of the video that Libby took. They're already calling him the prime suspect by the 19th.
Within 4 days. Yeah.
Right.
Why? Because they've seen the whole video. They've heard what's everything on there, what all the audio and all the video. In my opinion, I think there's probably a little more audio than we're aware of, right? I think there's a little more. I don't know. How do you guys all feel? You think there's a little bit more there than we know?
I've heard around 45 seconds, but it could be longer. We don't know.
Yeah. What about you, Mama Bear?
I agree. That's been about the consensus that I've been hearing. What about?
I'm sure it was Anna that said that at some point in an interview. I'm not sure. Please don't quote me. But I'm pretty sure I've heard that somewhere.
Yeah, because I think we do know that the recordings were played for the parents. They got to listen to identify which one of their kids was, talking or saying something.
Right.
So we get the next day on Monday, February 20th of 2017. Here's another one a lot of people aren't aware of. Another school-aged girl communicating with Anthony Schott's profile, sharing her address. She comes home from school, right? And she's seen a man in a ski mask looking into her bedroom window. And we know that Klein personally knew this girl and her family. And a lot of people don't know that. Do you think that's one we can show, Amy?
Yes, I've got it.
All right, let me pop this down. Let me go back up to my screen here. Let me unshare what I have first. Come on now. Remove my screen. Remove my screen. La la la.
I love your singing voice, honey.
Sorry, guys.
Why, thank you.
You're welcome,
I'll
sweetheart.
start singing it. All right. When I don't see a page up, you just let me know, Amy.
Okay, hang on. I don't know. StreamYard's kind of laggy for me, but I'm working on it. It's just a second.
That's all right. We are all very patient people.
Yes, you are. You're good people.
Trust me, I'm used to being the one that I can't get my stupid thing to work. I was hoping if we went another way.
Evil CJ said in chat, see, JSD can sing.
You know what?
See, you have
You know
another
what's
talent.
though? After the surgery, they put that tube down your throat while you're in there, and you know how it stays scratchy, right? It just stays
Ouch.
scratchy.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see. Oh, I see another add
Well,
to
it's done
screen.
wonders for your singing voice, honey. So, you know.
Yeah, I'm not as good as a kid. I tried to karaoke with my sisters the other night, and it was horrible.
Oh, God.
All right, let's see here.
You got it?
I see it.
All right.
I don't hear it.
Are you saying you can't hear it?
I can't hear it. Can anybody else hear it? Is it just me?
No, I'm not getting any audio.
Oh, this is a good video
Jeez.
too. It's okay.
I know. I don't know
Don't
what's
worry, it's
happening. I don't know
fine.
why you can't hear it.
Well, no, you can't mute yourself
Do you
if
want to
you're
try,
playing a
JC?
video, though. Let me see.
I'm not muted.
Here, let me see if I can pull it up. Hold on. Hold on. Let's see, add this stream. And then I'm going to go to maybe. Let's see if I can do this correctly. It was this one. It's doing a little spinning.
Well, you could always sing it for us.
Okay. Keegan Klein was Anthony Shots. He should be more in jail. What? No, skip an ad. I don't want a memory fix. Here's the good news. The good news is this video is only 1 minute and 51 seconds. The bad news is going to take me 5 minutes to get it up.
How many ads?
Oh, here we go.
I'm so excited, and I just can't hide it. Look at Dig. Come on now.
Investigates is uncovering the first link between a fake social media profile run by Keegan Klein and the unsolved Delphi murders. So far, he has never been charged, but Klein was arrested in August of 2020 on 30 charges of child exploitation and pornography. In the transcript of that 2020 police interview with Klein, just a few days after the bodies of Libby and Abby were discovered in Carroll County, another school-age girl gave her address to the Anthony Shots profile. That girl was getting off the school bus when she says she saw a man in a ski mask looking into her bedroom window. Now, Klein personally knew the girl and her family. And then 5 days later, police raided the home where Klein lived with his father in Miami County. They found over 100 sexually explicit images of underage girls on several devices. Now, in the 2020 interview, police questioned Klein about whether his father had access to those devices. The person behind Anthony Shots' profile was one of the last communications with Libby German before her murder. And after her death, the Anthony Shots profile told another person that he was supposed to meet up with Libby, but she never showed up. But look at what police told Keegan. Quote, "I can honestly sit here and I'm telling you that I do not believe that you killed Liberty." Keegan Klein is not charged with the killings of Liberty German and Abby Williams, as we've mentioned. Police did tell Klein, though, they believe a second person was communicating with the girls using his devices. Klein did not implicate his father either. Now, police are not saying if he has been questioned in the Delphi case.
Did that play okay? I can't tell.
Yeah, yeah. I
Very
think you
well.
should do it. I think you should be the one doing it.
Yeah, it was good.
Nope, pull this down. All right. So if the video shows up, we meant to show video. If we only hear sound, that's what is supposed to happen. There you go. Dang. All right. So we get to that happening, right? Lots of people aren't aware that all of a sudden, not long, look at this, the 20th, you're talking a week after the girls are murdered, another girl talking to an Anthony Shots profile sits here and gets communicated, tells an address, guy sitting out her house with a ski mask. All right. So then we jump to Wednesday, February 22nd of 2017. What happens that day? FBI and Indiana State Police held a press conference releasing the audio from the day that they were killed. Investigators say both the image and the audio came from Libby's cell phone. And that's really when they also talked about her being heralded as a hero for the recording of the video, which obviously we know what the recording looks like, and we know about Down the Hill. Guys, Down the Hill.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So we're still on Wednesday, February 22nd, the same day that press conference happens. So on that day, there is a bomb threat called into the Indiana Packers in Delphi.
Yeah.
So production at the Indiana Packers Corporation in Delphi was interrupted Wednesday afternoon after the company's employment office that was in Lafayette, Indiana, received a bomb threat about its building in Delphi, Indiana. So then the Carroll County Sheriff's deputies were called to that meatpacking plant in Delphi, Indiana at 1:10 p.m. Again, we're on the same day here, February 22nd, on the report of that. And that it had been phoned into the office, which the caller threatened, 2 bombs, according to what the police said. And then Carroll Sheriff Toby Lesenby said police remained at the scene until after 4 p.m., helping the Indiana Packers management and other law enforcement search the plant, and that the plant had turned up nothing. By the way, this was the second bomb threat that had been called into the plant in that past year. So the first bomb threat that was called into that Indiana Packers, they did arrest something. I want to point that out. But I bring that up because this happened the same day they were talking about the video and the audio and the guy. And then all of a sudden they had this Indiana Packers plant threat came in. And a lot of people also connected that together. They were acting, like, oh, well, the plant they were searching because of Delphi.
Mhm.
So,
Right.
so they clarified that the activity was unrelated to the Delphi case. So Carroll County deputies are working with the state police and the FBI on the double homicide case by this point, and the agencies had held a press conference Wednesday morning regarding the homicides. However, Lisenby said that the police presence at the Indiana Packers was totally unrelated to the homicide investigation. So now we jump to Thursday, February 23rd. So the Delphi murder tip line was routed now for the FBI's major case center in DC would actually take care of the calls because of how many calls they were receiving at the time. So it was the same number, but the FBI was dealing with the acceptance of all of the calls. So this is where we start getting interesting here. We have Saturday, February 25th of 2017. Keegan Klein returns home from a Las Vegas trip. We know this because this is actually verified in his interview with the police. He confirms that's the date he returned.
Mhm.
So on 12:30 p.m. on that day, the Indiana State Police and FBI executed a search warrant while working an Indiana State Police case number blank. My God, people, I can't tell you how much we were hunting down that case number.
Oh, God.
We were all going in millions of directions trying to figure out which case number this would be, right? But the FBI sent information to the Indiana State Police Cybercrimes Unit that an adult male was soliciting female juveniles utilizing the social media platform Snapchat and Instagram, and that the adult male was using the username Anthony Schatz. Guess what, everybody? They were raiding his house on February 25th because of the girl who saw the mask and them tracing that. That call is what made them go to Klein's house because they knew that he was the Anthony Schatz profile. So
Right.
at 1:25 p.m. Eastern, Keegan Klein is interviewed by Indiana State Police Sergeant Kunstek and FBI Special Agent Willman, and Keegan was polygraphed at that time also. So at 7:30 p.m., Keegan's polygraph was conducted, and then he was transported back to his house. Now remember, this was only that Keegan got picked up, not that Tony got picked up. Why? Because when they were questioning Tony Klein, when they get to Tony Klein's house that he owned it, but Keegan lived there, he says, hey, do you own a Snapchat and an Instagram? And Tony's like, no, my son does.
Mhm.
And so then they start questioning him, and they ask him, Keegan, to bring all his devices in, which of course we know he brings in all the devices but one, the current one for that year. And they don't check any further into Tony. They're only looking into Keegan because he verified, hey, is this your IP address from Comcast? Yeah, that is the IP address from here. Yep, my son does have these accounts. So that's why they take him in. So they drop him off at home. So at 9:19 p.m. that same day, the user of that iPhone 5C started to uninstall and delete apps from that phone, meaning the phone the cops did not take, that he said he couldn't find. At 9:19 p.m., the user uninstalled and deleted Snapchat, and the user uninstalled user uninstalled and deleted Snapchat, user uninstalled and deleted. It probably should be Instagram. At 10:14 p.m., the user uninstalled and deleted Instagram from the phone. So then we jump to Sunday. On February 26th at 1:12 p.m., the user uninstalled and deleted Meet Me from the phone. And then at 1:28 p.m., the user put Snapchat back on the device. And then the user again uninstalled and deleted it from the phone. So now we jump to Monday, February 27th. At 9:48 a.m., the user cleared or deleted the Safari web browser history and website data from the device. During the examination, some information was recovered. The user of the Apple iPhone 5C deleted multiple items off of the phone before turning it into law enforcement. Well, ladies, what is it that we end up finding out, at least that the police found on his web searches, what he looked up while he's in Vegas?
Oh gosh.
How long does DNA last?
How long does DNA last? And the oh gosh, the murders of the
The
kids.
audio was played several times, I believe.
Oh,
with
yeah.
BT.
The bridge guy audio. He
Yep.
he looked at the news on the Delphi murders while he was in Vegas. He's supposed to be having fun in Vegas, but he's doing these searches and he finds he looks up the Sandy Hook, right?
Right, Sandy Hook. That was
Well, and we say that, but it's the user of the 5C.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
Vegas.
Right.
And we know Tony was with him. Not saying it was Tony. I mean, I'm sure he's innocent of anything. Right? Who knows?
So we've got that the evidence in these applications were destroyed when the user deleted them from the device before turning it into law enforcement. And then Keegan contacted the Indiana State Police Cybercrimes Unit and told them, hey, guys, I just located my Apple iPhone 5C that wasn't taken during the warrant.
Amazing.
And that blows my mind. I mean, if he told them ahead of time he couldn't find a phone, if that was told, why is an officer not going back there to go get that phone and make him continue to look for it? Right?
Yep.
Because that could have solved the case so much quicker if we had the actual phone that he was using during 2017.
Mhm.
Just another, you got to be kidding me moment. This is why he has charges that they had given him for, come on, Amy, you read my mind.
No pressure.
The charges for what?
For him hiding, for him deleting all that stuff.
Obstruction?
Thank you. See, I told
Maybe.
you read my mind.
Well, I don't know if it's obstruction or if it would be more like I guess it depends on who's making the charges or what they want to say, but like hindering an investigation.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know, being a general sleaze bag.
Well, that's fitting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So then at this point too, while this is all going on that nobody knows about, right? This is not public. It's not public that all this shit's going down. The reward being offered for information leading to the arrest in the case of the girls was increased to $96,000. And that was because local businesses and stuff like that were donating. So now we go into, and I put the estimation of the range of time frame that Richard Allen would have come forward to say something. So because of all, now Richard Allen knows, oh my God, there's a video out there, right? There's an audio out there. They asked for this person. Now they're saying this person's a person of interest. So he turns around and he doesn't contact the local police. He doesn't contact the Indiana State Police or the FBI. He decides to communicate with a conservation officer. And this is when he states that he was on the trail between 1:30 and 3:30. That he parked at an old Farm Bureau building and walked to the New Freedom Bridge, and that he saw 3 females. He had to say he saw 3 females. Guess why? Because 3 females saw him.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
So he's trying to cover his butt that they're going to say they saw him. He noted that one was taller and had brown or black hair. He did not remember description, nor did he speak with them, and he walked from the Freedom Bridge to the High Bridge. He did not see anybody, although he stated he was watching a stock ticker on his phone as he walked. Because, yeah, he looks like a big high roller investor, doesn't he? He's got to watch the stock ticker while walking in a park.
Yes,
Asshole.
but yet he had to plead to get an attorney to help him with the case.
Right. Right.
Big bucks. Yeah.
Then he's saying, so we've got that. He's saying he doesn't see anybody. He stated that there were vehicles parked on the High Bridge trailhead. However, he did not pay any attention to them, and he did not take any photos or videos. So then you go into about his cell phone. And what's interesting is you have his cell phone did not list an IMEI. And we did research on that too. And
Yeah.
the IMEI on the phone actually shows where you're frickin' located.
Mm-hmm.
So his phone has, other data and stuff in there, but not from that. So, yeah. So this is the statement that said for a guy who admits where he is and stuff like that, and what first comes out of his mouth during the same time frame. So we're talking basically by the end of that month, we have Richard Allen's statement. So we jump ahead in March. We have a Colts player, Pat McAfee, Jim Irsay from the Colts stepping up. They're donating more money. They raise it up to $200,000. On March 2nd, the unit obtained the iPhone SC, I think it's supposed to be 5C, from the Indiana State Police Peru Post. This is finally, it goes to the Peru Post to finally the Indiana State Police finally get that phone. Monday, March 6, 2017, Ron Logan's house was searched for violation of probation by a violation of DUI. So this one on March 6th, first, search warrant had nothing to do with Delphi. It had to do with that he lied. They caught him driving. They caught him with DUI. And so they decided to search his house. So that was the first search all the way on March 6th. So on Thursday, March 9th, Liberty German's grandfather, Mike Patty, spoke to the media for the first time. And he talked about, they were talking about who the girls were. They loved softball. And the family's desire to find who was killing. They were going around to a lot of different media at the time. Do you think that's one's worth showing? Maybe?
Yeah. I don't see why not. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let me click on this and see what it does.
Even if you get the audio on it, I think it would be worth it. Yeah.
There we go.
I think you have some questions in the chat.
Oh, did we?
Never mind. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
We can get them later.
All right, now. Won't be wishy-washy on me. Skip the ads, please. Thank you. All right. This is going to be the grandpa, Mike Patty.
This is breaking news from Channel 13 Eyewitness News.
And good morning to you. I'm Ben Hill. That breaking news is out of Delphi this morning. We are waiting to hear grandfather of Libby German. Libby, of course, is one of the two teenagers killed on a hiking trail last month. This is the first time we're hearing from family members since their murders. Again, we are moments away. We'll take you for a live picture there before this press conference is set to begin. It appears, of course, as you see, family members gathered, authorities gathered. We admittedly don't know what to expect. Perhaps a statement will be read here just moments away as you see everyone gathered there in Delphi. Many media members awaiting this press conference to hear from family members again. We're going to go ahead and listen in. We'll join you in just a few minutes.
Statement. They also are going to read a statement on behalf of the family of Abigail Williams. We'd like to start by request of the family with a word of prayer for Pastor Todd Ladd of the Delphi United Methodist Church. Pastor.
Thank you for joining us today. If you would, join me in a word of prayer. Holy God, our loving Father, we thank you for your love and your mercy. And today I pray for Liberty's family. God, hold them in the comforting arms of your Spirit. Draw them near to you in the protection of your love as they're vulnerable today in sharing their hearts about Libby and about Abby. Lord, they're sharing their hearts about their love for her. God, in your wise ways, guide their words so they may express their deeply held desires of their hearts and reflect their love for Libby and Abby. God, I pray that their response would demonstrate the love of Jesus Christ that has sustained them in the midst of the deepest and darkest valley. God, I thank you for all these individuals who have come today to tell the story that needs to be told so that more tips may process and we can begin to find justice. Lord, we pray for justice here on this earth, but Lord, we also ultimately hold hope for justice on the other side. So that all of this, we put our trust in you. Bless them, bless their words, and allow us to tell the story in ways that give hope. We ask this in the name of Christ, our Savior. Amen.
Carroll County Sheriff Tobe Lesenby.
Good morning. My main purpose this morning is to thank each one of you for being here. I also want to thank our community, and I want to send out a huge net of thank you to everyone that's even had this on their mind for the last few weeks. Without your help, without your involvement, we feel like that we wouldn't be where we are right now. We continue to move forward, we strive for justice, and we will get that justice. At this time, I want to introduce Mike Patty, Liberty German's grandfather.
Thank you, Tobe. I wrote down some stuff so I wouldn't forget what we'd like to communicate. My family put this together. So obviously my name is Mike Patty. This is my wife, Becky. We'd both like to thank you for showing up here today. I'd like to read a statement. I've got to put my glasses on for this. So show my age a little bit. This is a statement from Abby's family. Abby and Libby loved each other. Throughout this tragedy, we have honored their memory by caring for and respecting each other. We respect Libby's family decision to speak publicly at this time, just as they respected our family's decision not to speak publicly, the family of Abby Williams. I would also ask of the media to respect their choice. Let them reach out to you if they so desire to do it. A little over 3 weeks ago, February 13th, our girls went missing. On February 14th, they were found victims of a double homicide. This horrible crime has torn a hole in our families that will never heal. It's the small things that seem to hurt the most. It's just natural to holler for them to come to dinner or in the mornings to get up and get ready for school. Then expect them to come through the door after school. The silence when we don't hear their voice. Our girls were excited about the upcoming softball season. Just the day before all this happened, They had their equipment out playing catch, working on their batting in the backyard, going to the ball field with Anna to hone their skills for the upcoming season. But they'll never get to play a single inning again. There are too many ways to count how our lives will forever be impacted to share here today. I imagine most people listening that have raised or are raising children know how kids can be. A phrase that was jokingly attached to Libby and our family, from asking her to pick up her shoes, her school backpack, her coat, her first reply would almost always be, "I will, in a minute." We joke with her about this all the time. I believe if she were able to speak, she would ask people, please give her the 1 minute she always asked for, to really study the picture and listen to the audio clip. Someone out there knows this person or persons. He's someone's neighbor, coworker, family member, friend, husband, or acquaintance. If and when any new information is released by law enforcement, please take another minute from your day to review all the information and help us collect the pieces of this puzzle. Both of our families are requesting everyone to please help Abby and Libby. Look for someone who's recently changed their appearance, cut their hair, shaved, or started wearing different clothes. Have they changed in some strange manner that just seems a little odd? If you think it could be, but then say, no, he's not like that, go with your initial instinct. Let law enforcement run that information and make that determination. However small it may seem, it is extremely vital to capture every tip we can get. Please, we need your help. At this time, I'd also like to thank law enforcement and officials, along with our employers, pastors, the people and businesses of this great community across the state, nation, and beyond, who have pulled together around us, providing help and support in so many ways. From fundraisers, food for our families and law enforcement, to the hugs, handshakes, kind words, all of these items help. But again, we're asking everyone to take 1 minute and study the picture and audio, then reporting information you may have to the tip or email line. We also say thank you for all the generous donations for the reward fund. To the individuals, groups, businesses, all of which are too numerous to name. A couple that stand out are Pat McAfee and Jim Irsay. With their donation, the reward fund is now well over $200,000. The other donations we've received in Libby's name have been utilized to establish a scholarship fund in her name. And the rest of the funds we hope to be used to build a softball field and park in the memory of the girls, so they'll be remembered forever and have something for everyone to enjoy. Now,
I think that's just so emotional listening to him talk every time.
Yeah, that
He
really
did
hits
so
hard.
well. Yeah.
Breaks your heart.
Yeah, because let me pull this back up here. I just, yeah, I have to pull. I don't know what I did, but I dropped something out of here. Sorry, I have to re-pull up this PowerPoint piece. I think what's heartbreaking is when you listen to them describe to people. Are you guys? Yeah, there you are. Describe to people of it could be a neighbor, it could be a family member,
Yeah.
it could be,
A
you know,
husband.
and then you realize the guy's like 5-minute walk from the frickin' park. It's
Right.
like, oh my God. And you know, it does make you wonder how he just wasn't recognized by people as even a turned in, unless they just,
Yeah.
you know, were like, oh, well, I already talked. He could have told them, I already talked to police. Well, I was
Yeah.
out there. Or, yeah, I was this. And then they just, I don't know. It's horrible. So let me, sorry. Make sure I got it back up here. But I, you know, in that moment, I thought that, I know it was harder for Abby's family, but I really felt like Libby's family did a really good job trying to come forward and be available
Yeah.
for people,
Yeah.
for them to speak to people. And I can't even imagine. I don't know that I would want to talk to anybody. I mean, you know what I mean? I just
No.
don't know that I could even handle any of that as well as they did.
Right. Agreed.
Especially Miss Kelsey, you know. I think of her a lot and what she has done, putting herself out there, open to, you know, all kinds of criticism and horrible things. The whole family, you know, the internet is a nasty place a lot of times, and I'm glad that they've had support from people and people around them that love them, and people online that defend them, because we need those people speaking out for the family also on their behalf, defending them against the attacks that happen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and this happens not just in this case, it just happens in these types of crimes where people get it all twisted and forget that these are real people with real lives, and it's not some game, you know. It's not entertainment.
Exactly. They
I
lost
think
a loved one, you know.
Yeah.
I think the hardest ones for me was for us to sit here and also see that they were blaming the sister, and we're talking about a teenage girl.
Mhm.
And you know, I just never understood, you know, why that happened and how that happened. You know what I mean? I just,
Just some horrible people on the internet.
yeah.
Agreed.
Let's see here. I want to make sure I go right back to where I was. There we go. And make sure I'm sharing. Sorry, guys. I somehow closed up my my screen at the time. Let's see if this will pop back up correctly. Yeah, I think that they've been through a lot. I think they're going to be glad when this is over for lots of reasons.
Mm-hmm.
So we talked about, you know, they speak out. And at that time, the Indiana State Police had announced that about the reward that had grown, and that they were looking at over 11,000 tips that came forward in the case. So on Friday, March 17th of 2017, state and federal authorities execute a search warrant at the home of the Carroll County man who owns the property where two teenage girls were found murdered. And obviously the property owner of that is Ron Logan. He was never named a suspect in the girls' murders, and they called the search a normal part of the investigation. So we do have a video and stuff from that, but I'm not going to overly slow us down here because we've got some things coming up. But that's important to know. So this is now the second search fully inside his home, right? The first one was for the violation of probation.
Right.
Then they went ahead and did this search. This is the probable cause affidavit that didn't get released until this year, that everybody read like it was new information, although this happened way back on March 17th of 2017.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, and I know from us all discussing, I'm not shocked that the person's house that's right there is going to be searched. They'd have to be. All those houses should be that were right there near it. And they put down in a probable cause affidavit what they believe they're going to find and what they were looking for. But they didn't find that stuff there. Again, just like we said, Richard Allen's search warrant led to Richard Allen going to jail. Logan's search warrant didn't. He only went to jail for his violation of his probation earlier. So on Thursday, March 23rd, that's when Abby's family speaks out for the first time that the girls were murdered. And Lucy Hubbard's, which is Abby's great aunt, was the first member to speak out about her niece and the search for the killer. We get to April 13th of 2017, and there are 16,000 tips and over 500 interviews with still no suspect in the murder at the time. And then on Saturday, May 13th, there was a celebration of life that was held for the girls. And on Saturday, July 15th, the first memorial softball tournament was held in honor of Libby and Abby. And then proceeds from that tournament went toward building the sports complex in their memory. And we wanted to include all of this information of everything that was going on, even in memory of the girls, to just acknowledge in the timeline of all the work and stuff that was going on. So when we get to Monday, July 17th, investigators with the Indiana State Police release a composite sketch of the suspect in the murders of Abby and Libby German from back in February. The composite sketch was created after the state police received new information from witnesses along the trail. So look at July, new information, released a composite sketch. This is sketch number 1 that is released. Right? So we're not, let me go here. Thank you. This is part of a lot of the confusion that I know a lot of people believe there was confusion that did not help the case at the time. And I won't have to show the whole video. There probably will have it even popped up here, hopefully. There we go. That is composite video released July of 2017, saying that they released this sketch based on new information. Okay. So the suspect was described as a white male between 5'6" or 5'10", weighing 180 to 220 pounds, with reddish brown hair, unknown eye color, and that the hat the man is wearing in the sketch may not be accurate. They say, we feel this is very important because it actually gives a better view of the person shown in the previous photos. So remember, it was all still photos of the video. And then here's this update. So Indiana State Police Sergeant Riley said, it gives you a little more facial features. It gives you a little more information on what you're looking at and who the suspect might be. And we feel that it is the same person. So on July 18th, their police and staff are analyzing high volume tips. On August 26th, family members of Libby and Abby unveiled the location and details of the new sports complex that will be built in their memory. On September 25th, Libby and Abby's families begin new efforts to find the killer. And that's including, they did a Facebook page and reaching out to national networks for coverage. So if you remember, they went on a lot of talk shows at that time. Thursday, September 28th, Indiana State Police were contacted by a sheriff's department in Colorado about similarities in their case against Daniel Nations. Now, we did not keep every single predator person in here that was named as a suspect, which were very, very few, or even them looking into from the state police. This is the only guy that one of the guys they acknowledged as a possible person they'd look into. And Daniel Nations that's when he was officially declared a person of interest. Remember, even he was from Colorado and he had killed somebody in Colorado, and he was a known sexual offender. So on September 29th, The detectives working the Delphi investigation traveled to Colorado to interview him, check if they could get any evidence or anything to check if he was connected to it. And then on October 3rd, Indiana State Police visit Colorado, Daniel Nations, after receiving the tip. So the murders, October 17th, the murders of Libby and Abby got national attention when they spoke to Nancy Grace and discussed the case on the Dr. Oz show. And then on Saturday, November 11th, Carroll County prosecutor Rob Ives announcing that he is stepping down. So this is the original prosecutor for this case is stepping down. I included this information because I think that's pertinent to watch when people are leaving and who is coming in. So I have those are listed in here too. So on Wednesday, December 13th of 2017, the families of Libby and Abby appear on Dr. Phil's show to talk about the case. And they have more tips that jumped up. They said 500%. And on Monday, January 1st, this is when we get into 2018 finally, the new prosecutor, Nicholas McLeland, takes the post, and he is now still the prosecutor. Then we go to Monday, January 8th. Indiana State Police say base of operation, or they changed the base of operation from Delphi investigation will move back to the original location at City Hall. And on Tuesday, January 16th of 2018, Ron Logan is ordered to home detention due to his DUI. No other reason. We learn on the 24th of the extradition warrant for Daniel Nation for unrelated felony charges, which was sexual abuse into Johnson County in Indiana. And at that time, he had been the only person named as even a person of interest at the time. So February 4th, Daniel Nation arrives back in Indiana, is placed in Johnson County Jail on a warrant for failing to register as a sex offender. The charge is not related to Delphi, but he's still the only named person of interest. And on February 13th, this is the anniversary when the girls went missing, the police hold a press conference to mark the 1 year since their murders. And after 1 year, they had 30,000 tips that had come in. And the reward had got up to $240,000 by this point. So before we hit out of 2017, investigators had interviewed thousands of potential suspects, and around 24 people had been arrested on unrelated charges from those interviews. And then Indiana State Police had not cleared Daniel Nations, but they did say that he was not really the person they were, interested in looking at a time. So after that, we jump into Wednesday, February 13th of 2019. Still no one captured. Press conference held at the 2-year anniversary. Now this is on the 19th of February. And then we're going to jump into Monday, April 22nd of 2019, where there's a press conference on Monday in Delphi, Indiana. State Police announced a new direction in the Delphi homicide investigation. And I'm just going to show that because, as we all know, and ladies, I'll ask you, as we go into the first 2 years, there's not much that really happened exciting about, except for maybe the Daniel Nations thing, really.
True.
But there was a lot of stuff that was starting to happen that we did not know. Right. We didn't know anything else going on behind the scenes. We didn't know all of the stuff that was happening with the probable cause with Ron Logan at the time. There was a lot of, why does it want me to download stuff? You weird thing. We just had no clue. But, this is the famous press conference of, you didn't know we're going to go this direction. This is what's going to happen. And then we all know what happens with the new sketch, that everybody's like, what the hell? And it's coming.
Amy, she's going to break into song again.
I can't wait. Show tunes, jazz hands. I'm ready.
Jazz hands. All right. I'm not pausing it. No. I would like to forward you a little bit here.
On February 14th, 2017. If you were parked there or know who was parked there, please contact the officers at the command post at the Delphi City building. We are releasing additional portions of the audio recording from that day. Please keep in mind, the person talking is one person and is the person on the bridge with the girls. This is not two different people speaking. Please listen to it very, very carefully. We are also releasing video recovered from Libby's home. This video has never before been previously released. The video shows a suspect walking on the bridge. When you see the video, watch the person's mannerisms as they walk. Watch the mannerisms as he walks. Do you recognize the mannerisms as being someone that you might know? Remember, he is walking on the former railroad bridge. Because of the deteriorated condition of the bridge, the suspect is not walking naturally due to the spacing between the ties. During the course of this investigation, we have concluded the first sketch released will become secondary as of today. The result of the new information and intelligence over time leads us to believe the sketch, which you will see shortly, is the person responsible for the murders of these two little girls. We also believe this person is from Delphi, currently or has previously lived here, visits Delphi on a regular basis, or works here. We believe this person is currently between the age range of 18 and 40, but might appear younger than his true age. Directly to the killer, who may be in this room. We believe you are hiding in plain sight. For more than 2 years, you never thought we would shift gears to a different investigative strategy, but we have. We likely have interviewed you, or someone close to you. We know that this is about power to you. And you want to know what we know. And one day, you will. A question to you. What will those closest to you think of when they find out that you brutally murdered two little girls? 2 children. Only a coward would do such a thing. We are confident that you have told someone what you have done. Or at the very least, they know, because of how different you are since the murders. We try so hard to understand how a person could do something like this to two children. I recently watched a movie called The Shack. And there's also a book that talks so well about evil, about death, and about eternity.
I'm going to fast forward just here to highlight, as you all know, the more up-to-date image.
I just unveiled the person that we believe responsible for the murder of these two little girls. So I invite media to take a look at that now. Kim. We're also going to show you a video not previously released that superintendent spoke to, and also the audio that's additional to what's been previously released. It's only a slight change in it. So give Sergeant Riley just a second as he gets that up and ready.
So that was a new shock that came out. I'll never forget when they came out and everybody was like, this doesn't look like anything that we've had before. You know, this is not, you know, the image looked totally different. Everything was totally different from what we'd seen. And we're talking about that, you know, here's that announced. We hit the 2-year mark on February 13th, but this press conference with the new video and that new sketch doesn't happen until April 22nd. Wednesday, April 24th of 2019, the Indiana State Police comes back to clarify the reasons for release of the second sketch. And what we know is that actually the second sketch itself was due to the fact that the girls, the young girls, had actually given the description that looks like the second sketch, the teenage girls. And then within 6 days afterwards, the sheriff is asking people to stop posting images of possible suspects, because they're worried. Then you know how it goes. They sit there and social media is going all over the place, and they don't want people to be comparing this second sketch or anything to anybody. What's your guys' thoughts and memories on when that happened with this second sketch and release?
I thought, what a difference myself, you know, from the first one to the second one. I was a little shocked by that. Definitely younger on the second one. I don't know. What do you think, Amy?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's enough to make your head spin. I would imagine if I were there and if I lived in Delphi, excuse me, and had been following this case and wanting to find this person, how confusing, right? How I would be shocked by this. And especially, you know, some of the cryptic stuff that Superintendent Carter was saying, I think was definitely meant to be playing some head games with the perpetrator. I really do. I think there was some very carefully used expressions, and I think they're doing the mind game thing with the person. Because he said all along that obviously he would be. The person is going to be watching the news and listening to these broadcasts, and it's an opportunity to get inside that person's head, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Well, and then I think it went into more speculation happened of, are these two different people? Right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Were the people, are these two different people, or were these people describing the same person? And then you then talking about the perception of that if you're a young teenager and you see somebody, they can look older in your perception versus somebody older who sees the same person, and what their look and stuff like was. And what was interesting in this one, there was no hat on this person, right? It was more showing hair itself. So when we get into all this, by July 10th of 2019, Libby's sister has to address rumors during a live stream where she's dispelling all these things about her and, you know, and her family and all these types of things and what's true and what's not true. And she decided to address them on her own YouTube page, which was very brave and stuff of her. So,
yes.
So when we get into Wednesday, January 8th of 2020, and I'm going to try to go as fast as I can because I probably will end about here in about 30 minutes, and we'll see where we're at. But on January 8th of 2020, Delphi gets a new police chief, which is Brooke McCain. So then we're at Thursday, February 13th of 2020. This is 3 years after Abby and Libby, you know, were last seen. The Indiana State Police say that they are one piece away from finding the killer. So we're talking 3-year anniversary. And then on April 24th of 2020, Trooper David Vito of the Indiana State Police Department was assigned to lead investigator for the case of CSAM with Keegan Klein. Okay, this one I know pissed all of us off. Not just my group here, it pissed everybody off because you got to realize this is the first time somebody got assigned to the Keegan Klein CSAM materials from his devices.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they went and raided him in 2017, but this is the first time that this officer is assigned as the lead investigator to look into it. So some of this stuff now, this further stuff will blow your mind of things we found, that what orders that went into everything. So on April 24th, that trooper of the Indiana State Police, he's assigned that investigation with Keegan. Then on June 12th, he receives, June 12th, please note the time, June 12th of 2020, not 2017, 2020, he receives the digital forensic examination from the Indiana State Police from Sergeant Cecil, and reviewed the information finally found on the devices for CSAM. It's the first time somebody is reviewing this crap more than 3 years later. Right? It's amazing. So you've got June 18th. So like 6 days later, after he gets this information, multiple law enforcement officials meet with the Miami County prosecutor so they can discuss about what was found on these devices and everything they finally found on the CSAM. So finally, on August 19th of 2020, this case number, Keegan Klein is finally arrested by the Indiana State Police. He's finally charged with the 30 charges of CSAM, of all the materials that he had, of like 15 girls across the state of Indiana in multiple locations that he has all these materials from.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's crazy. I this pisses me off so much.
Mm-hmm.
So by April 5th of 2021, so now the police are aware of the CSAM, right? They're aware of all this stuff. On Monday, April 5th of 2021, we're now in 2021, the reward jumps to $325,000. Okay, here's an epiphany, everybody. I've been waiting to get to this one because this was my epiphany on it. This is freaking blew my mind. All right. Okay, everybody remembers the interview with Barbara McDonald, right? Everybody remembers that interview that she goes in and she's talking to Keegan Klein. All right. This is where all this comes down and comes in order for you. Prepare your mind. Okay. So approximately between December 4th and 11th, there was a second search warrant done on Tony Klein's house while Keegan was in jail. How do we know that? We know that because Keegan Klein tells Barbara McDonald about this search warrant that happened on his dad's house 2 to 3 weeks prior, right? So we put the range in here about the 4th through 11th as we're setting it up. Then we look again about this drawing, whatever. The 4th through 11th is the search warrant. Indiana State Police press announcement an Indiana State press conference is held on Monday, December 26th at 2021 at 9:22 p.m. Is this in here? Yeah, there it is.
What are you going to say, Amy? Amy's got something to say.
So I'm sorry. Was it the 26th or the 6th, hon?
Hold on. The 6th?
Okay. You had just said 26th. I just wanted to make sure the people that are listening and not seeing.
Yeah, sorry.
Wait, because the December 6th really lines up with the sequence of events that are happening here. Just boom, 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 boom.
JSD just wants to move ahead quicker.
Because I can't wait to, it's going to blow their minds. That's what it is. That's why it is. So I have to pull this one up because I can't not. Like, there's just freaking no way not to.
Do it.
You guys, this is going to blow. So remember, this is 9:22 p.m. at night. Come on now. So I'll give some background while this is trying to pull up. Pause for a second. Okay. So the reason this is all important is because the day before that day that it was going to be released, this gets released by the Indiana State Police, is because there's a investigator with Channel 8 News. Okay. They contact the Indiana State Police because there's word that about the Anthony Shantz, and there's word about a Keegan Klein who'd been arrested and he'd already been in jail for a year and nobody knew about him. But a Channel 8 reporter found out about him. So they contact the Indiana State Police and them to let them know, hey, we're going to go on live the next day and we're going to talk about that. We know that there's a person connected to the Anthony Shantz profile and that his name is, Keegan Klein, and that we know he's in jail. So all of a sudden, the state police have to release something, right? Because it's going to be released by the news if they don't. So this is why this comes out at 9:25 p.m. at night to talk about Anthony Shantz.
My name is Sergeant Jeremy Pierce, the Public Information Officer with the Indiana State Police out of the Lafayette Post. While investigating the murders of Abigail Williams and Liberty German, detectives with the Carroll County Sheriff's Office and Indiana State Police have uncovered an online profile named Anthony Schatz. This profile was being used from 2016 to 2017 on social media applications, including but not limited to Snapchat and Instagram. The fictitious Anthony Schatz profile used images of a known male model and portrayed himself as being extremely wealthy and owning numerous sports cars. The creator of the fictitious profile used this information while communicating with juvenile females to solicit nude images, obtain their address, and attempt to meet with them. Pictured on your screen, you'll see images of the known male model and images of the fictitious profile sent to the underage females. We have already identified the male in these images that were used by Anthony Schatz. The male in the photo is not the person of interest in the investigation. Detectives are seeking information about the person who created the Anthony Schatz profile. Investigators would like any individual who communicated, met, or attempted to meet the Anthony Schatz profile to contact law enforcement by utilizing the tip email, Abby and Libby Tip at cacoshrf.com. Please provide as much information as you possibly can. For example, when you communicated with Anthony Schatz, how you communicated with the profile, what social media applications the account used, and if Anthony Schatz attempted to meet you or obtain your address. If you have saved images or conversations with Anthony Schatz profile, please attach them to your email. Again, if you have any information, please contact law enforcement by utilizing the tip email, Abby and Libby Tip at cacoshrf.com. Thank you.
So what do we see when this stuff all comes together? And the stuff that's coming together on it is that they had to move forward. They did not mention Keegan Klein yet, right? We find out the next day about a guy who's already in jail, but about a press thing that they just covered, that they're just talking about, we need information on who is Anthony Schatz. So detectives were looking for relationship, social media. We covered all that, about what images they used, who was the creator. Police say the man in the photo is not the person of interest, right? And that they say the profile named Anthony Schatz was used from 2016 to 2017 on social media applications, including but not limited to the Snapchat and Instagram, right? Because remember, they only found so much on the CSAM stuff.
Right.
So I put down everything that they were looking for, and you know, the family was very shocked at the time to find out that there was a social media connection. Because you can see Anna Williams is, you know, who's Abigail's mother. She said she had no comment. And then Mike Patty, he's like, you know, let's just get the information out there and ask people to help. But they were shocked because they had been told at the early that it didn't have to do with social media, right? That's what they kept sharing with people. So the reason I say that this is an important timeline is because, and I'm gonna stroll it backwards because you have to. You're looking at when, oh, I went forward instead of backwards, didn't I? You're looking at when they went to go search the house again of Tony Klein. During December 4th through the 11th was the approximate time. Why? That's 2 to 3 weeks before the interview that Barbara McDonald did with Keegan, where he said, wow, they searched my dad's house. Why would they have to do that? This would be at the same time that Channel 8 would have told them, hey, we know about an Anthony Schatz profile, and we know about a Keegan Klein you have in jail. We're going to release it. So not only did the police have to go ahead and release it before the news did and talk about Anthony Schatz and the connection to the Delphi case, because you can't deny that's what they're talking about. right? You can't deny that's what they're talking about. They're talking about this connection. They're not mentioning Keegan Klein, but what do they need to do? Well, wouldn't you believe that before the word gets out that the reason they have Keegan in jail and the Anthony Shots profile is that they have to go search that house where he lived so nothing could be destroyed? And at that time is when they took the dog out of the house. All right, I just said my wow moment. So, ladies.
On top of the microwave for the phone, and what was it? Someone said about in the microwave too. Remember that?
Right.
No. I mean,
yep.
Just, and the fact that it took them this long to make an arrest on the CCM is just, well.
Yeah,
I won't say more than that.
I think that's shocking and stuff like that too, but it makes sense to me is that why they suddenly ran out and did a search warrant again on Tony Klein's house the second time. And remember, they have not released the probable cause of why they did a second search warrant on Tony Klein's house, but it happens right before it gets released massively that his son, who was living in that house, was connected to a profile, right? And was, and any evidence that could possibly be in there. And finally, for the first time, acknowledging a connection in the Delphi case.
Right.
There's something to that. I mean, I think they were really struggling probably to identify, based on the two men living in that house, Tony and Keegan, who's doing what's going on with these devices, the multiple logins and logging out, and the just it's all mixed up in there, and it's probably pretty hard for them to identify. And the rumor was, right at the time, that the dog was taken by police for a bit. Tony's dog, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I'm assuming they brought the dog back, but I don't know. I didn't hear about that part of it, but I know that there was a very widespread rumor that the dog was taken during that search.
Right. And then that was when everybody was like, oh, wait a minute, maybe this fiber or hair or something that they could have that they're trying to connect forensically is from an animal, because that's the first time it really popped into anybody's head that could be something that they had.
Right.
As an animal hair. So after this all happens on December 2nd, all of a sudden, December 7th, the next day is when Wish TV Channel 8, that's their I-team, they kind of do the investigating part of it. They released that they uncovered the court documents showing that a man named Keegan Klein had been connected to the Anthony Shots account. Although the press release comes out and say, hey guys, if you know anybody connected to Anthony Shots, and then everybody's like, wait a minute, why the heck would they come out and say that if they already have somebody in jail who admitted he was Anthony Shots? So they see that law enforcement had been looking into him since 2017. And then just days after the murder, about, he then went into custody in August of 2020. So Wednesday, December 9th, 2 days after this, Keegan Klein is interviewed with Barbara McDonald of Headline News. That's the Down the Hill podcast. And this is where she's talking to him, and he's saying, he's cooperating with them. He doesn't know what else they want. Yes, my dad had access to devices. Yes, my dad could do this. He's a hunter. All the famous Headline News stuff that came out that he said. And remember, not everything came out. It was limited at the time of what could first come out because the police were using his statements as evidence.
And can I say something real quick, JSD, in regards to that whole interview? It really bothered me because, kind of like I just did to you right now, interrupted you. I mean, he was talking and she would butt in, and it was like, and please forgive me to that woman, I apologize, but it's like when they're talking, let them talk. Let them spew.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
Let them go.
Because
You don't know what they're going to say, you know.
He always has a hesitation, right? He
Right.
was like, he would, you know, he kind of has a hesitation before he answers. And so while she's talking to him and he's going through it, and then all of a sudden you can hear he's starting to say something extra. I know this because we all were reading this carefully and rereading it in our Discord. And we're like, shut up, lady. What are you doing?
To give her credit, I agree with you totally, Ma Bear. I really do. But to give her credit, that's a pretty big interview she was doing. And I think all of us have a tendency, if there is an awkward silence, or if you sense that somebody is being, you know, even if you're the one putting them on the spot, there's that sense of kind of just the need to smooth out the situation. Is everybody okay? Is everybody feeling good? We're all calm here. Even when you know that he could drop a big truth bomb right in your lap at any moment. But yeah, I feel like if she had let him sit in a little bit more uncomfortable silence, right? Let him buy that silence. You know how they talk about in marketing, let somebody sit in silence and get uncomfortable. And the first person to speak is the person that's going to end up buying your product, right? They bought it because they bought that uncomfortable silence. Let Keegan buy that. Right. Wouldn't you hope that? I know if I were in this situation, though, I would be nervous, you know, as all get out, and probably would have screwed it up. She's a very good journalist. She does really good interviews. She gets really good stories. I don't.
Oh yeah, I mean she's great, but you know, and after the fact, I'm sure she's like anybody else. If you listen to it, you probably would even say that to yourself, right? You'd be like,
right,
oh,
like, dadgummit, I should have shut up
right.
more.
Was he fixing to say this? Plus, the other, to her credit, she had a limited amount of time. They were allowing her to speak to him anyway.
Exactly. True. Very true.
So
again,
you know,
I'm not trying to diss Barbara. Please forgive me. You know, I'm not trying to do that, but I was like, oh God, let him hang himself. Just give him a little, you know.
Right.
Yep, totally. I think we were all thinking that.
Yeah. So then we go on Friday, March 4th of 2022. And this is really the big first part that I would say that where the Murder Sheet podcast popped in and started to be involved in the case and had done stuff, because at this point, the Murder Sheet releases redacted transcript of the headline news down the hill journalist Barbara McDonald's interview with Keegan Klein from December of 2021, right? This is in March of 2022, we learn it. The details of the transcript revealed information that the real focus of the investigation into the Delphi murders. So it kind of acknowledges for us that that's who they're looking for, right? That's what's going on from it. So then we get to March 24th of 2022, Wish TV Channel 8 receives the transcript of the interview between Klein and the investigators. So it's Channel 8 who gets this. The interview transcript from a questioning about the child porn case reveals that they believe two people were using the Anthony Shots profile, and that's being investigated by the ISP. So that's when that comes out about that transcript and stuff from there. It's a 194-page interview transcript, which I'm sure a lot of you remember. And that's between Klein and the investigators. And the deputy from there also details some of Libby German's final conversations, including some from the day she was reported missing that was happening with Anthony Shots. So here's the thing. We're going to try to be very clear that it's the Anthony Shots profile. They don't know who is using it at the time. I'll put it that way. They don't know which person is using it based on the interview that we hear them asking, because they are very much inquiring about Tony Klein when they're talking to him, when talking to Keegan.
Sure.
So Keegan Klein had not been charged in connection with them. And then the document that was given that they received for Channel 8 was from the Murder Sheet podcast, who provided that police transcript interview at the time. So that interview was on August 19th of 2020. And that's when they talk about the 30 charges that they had. He did describe that somebody else could have access to the account. And he admits contact with Libby German. And the reason that says is because it goes, you admitted that you talked to her for a few hours at a sleepover, and then you blocked her because she was annoying. You remember that? The investigators asked him. Klein responded, you're right. Yeah. Detectives also point out a conversation that Klein had with one of Libby's friends after the murder. She said, did you hear about Liberty? You respond on Anthony Shots, OMG, what happened? That's talking to someone about the two girls that were missing, then would be dead. Klein responds, right, I guess you're right, yeah. Investigators tell Klein that same girl who was messaging with Anthony Shots said that Shots admitted he was supposed to meet Libby, her, but she didn't show up. Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
He's an idiot. God,
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes he's smart. He comes across as, wow, he can really, he can come up with a lot of stuff sometimes that is really good. But then you think, wow, what an idiot. Why? I don't get that. Why on earth?
Well, and we have to say, though, I mean, it seemed that some of the stuff that Keegan was telling seemed forthcoming as far as all the CSAM was concerned.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yes.
He gave all those other devices. He came forward. Yes, I did this. I did this. I did that. You know, you have it. He took it. And he would not admit that if his father participated in that stuff. He never did that. So here we've got this long pause, right? We have this long pause. Then on this year, guys, Monday, April 11th of 2022, Indiana State Police expands the search for online evidence in the murder of Abby and Libby, right? And they were looking to speak to anybody, again, who communicated with Anthony Shots. But now, on that day, they added specifically the media platform Yellow, which is now referred to as Yubu.
Yeah.
And if you have not watched my video on there, I have a video on about social media of what was being used, what was found on all of Keegan Klein's phones, and what devices he had. And then I have a video specifically narrowed just about the Yellow app and how the Yellow app can locate you and automatically connect it to your Instagram and Snapchat accounts. It's a dangerous app. It's tender for, I would need almost preteens, right? It's like really something you need to watch. Yeah. So all of a sudden this gets announced out of the blue. And they also add that they want to speak to anybody who interacted with Anthony Shots' account on that social media platform. So this also expanded because they sat here and said that the police were going to France. They're going to France because that is where that app was created. And it's pretty interesting because that, for me, really put a lot that we have always thought that there may be a CSAM-related ring or child pedophilia ring dealing with this case.
Yep, component there. Yep.
And I've always, at least for myself, I've always believed that. And and that also kind of connects of that we have had in Indiana a international child petty ring that was busted here before. And I have a video and stuff about that. And that was generated and started in England, but the servers for those devices were found in Indiana, and they didn't find all the people from that. So if you haven't seen that video, you'll want to go see that video as well. All right, this is about the yellow app piece. See if I just press this, if it'll work. I'll start taking song requests of what I should sing. We are family. I got all my sisters in me.
There you go.
No. All right, let's see here. I will tell you that, and our team can tell you, the yellow app ticked me off, and after doing an investigation for it, I was like, holy crap.
Can't find information on you, boo. Jacksonville office. And
no, that's for
Isn't that
appearances.
funny?
That's not even real.
Can you guys add to the right? This is cracking me up. Toenail clippers for seniors. How interesting.
They're giving us a hint there.
Oh my gosh.
Well, at least for me, I'm the oldest one, so I guess I'll take the hint.
Right. All right, come on now. Why is it not going?
Police are looking at.
There we go. Come on now. In God's name.
And another online profile on the murder of two young girls in Delphi, Indiana. ISP is looking for information about a profile with the name Anthony_Shots. Investigators want anyone who communicated with the account on the yellow app to call police. That app is now called a UBO. State police found the Anthony_Shots profile while investigating the deaths of Abby Williams and Libby German. Police say Keegan Klein ran the account. Transcripts from police interviews show the account was interacting with Libby the day she and Abby were killed in 2017. But Klein told police he gave the account password to a lot of people. Klein has not been charged, and investigators have not named him as a suspect.
All right, so yes, that was a short video on purpose, but it's an important video because I think that they were working more on trying to unlock things and find things on the phone that he deleted stuff from. And in my opinion, I believe that that's why the yellow app was just recently brought up of April of this year, because they found out that it was on their phones. And they probably had to go to France to access the servers of it. Although for some reason, this yellow app has two US locations. So I don't know. I always felt like there was something there for them to pop up and bring up the yellow app all of a sudden in April of this year. What do you ladies think?
I think there's something there, and I think probably they already have it. I think it's probably going to be something that will come up as evidence.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Yeah.
Because there's no reason why you would make a call for that, because they found something, and they found it important enough to issue a public announcement about it and to make it connected to the Abby and Libby tip line for anyone who had contact with Anthony Shots.
Mm-hmm.
So if you think about that, just the subtle connection that it's the Abby and Libby tip line. It's not like a call NCMEC or something related to CSAM,
right?
Or child exploitation. It's directed to investigators in the murders, the Delphi murders. So
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's that's what's implied there.
So I really encourage, if you guys are not aware about the yellow app, with it relating to the case and how it could have been used to possibly track the girls or other girls. I would encourage you to go look at that video, the short video, or if you want to know what they found on all of his devices, go look at, you know, the social media, the dangers of social media with the case. The international child petty ring, I think, is interesting to watch what was here before, because it is dealing with people exchanging images and things such as that. I really feel like that there is a connection with that. On what level? Trust me, I don't feel like Keegan Klein is high level on any type of network he would be involved with. But he definitely could be a fall guy who's in charge of gathering, collecting, and or sharing and doing whatever it is he thought he was doing. So, yeah, I think they brought that up for a reason as well. So, oops, sorry. Dogs are going off there again. Friday, August 19th, the Miami County Prosecutor's Office and Klein's attorney agreed to have him released into temporary custody of the Indiana State Police, and Klein was ordered to be returned to the Miami County Jail afterwards. So Klein had been held in Miami County Jail. So this is on Friday, August 19th. Well, guess what happens that same day? Friday, August 19th, the search begins at the Wabash River in Peru, Indiana. So I know a lot of people want to be like, oh no, you know, they didn't think this was related or whatever. But then you've got on Tuesday, August 22nd, the Murder Sheet podcasters, Anya and Kevin, snapped photos of the police divers' search at the Wabash River. And one, that was when it kind of first really got out there, because they got a tip that it was happening already. And by the time they got out there, that's when they were taking pictures. Well, where that Wabash River search is at that bridge is basically not very far. Do you guys remember the exact distance from the actual Klein's home? The Wabash River goes behind their house.
Yeah.
And it's not far from when they're searching at all.
Just maybe a couple miles. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was pretty close.
Yeah, and it notes that the other reason they're searching there is because Keegan lived with his dad on February 26th of 2017. He was living there, and he was there with that search warrant when that search warrant happened. So then we go into Friday, August 25th, 2022. A pair of court filings and a search of Wabash River in Peru may indicate movement in the probe of the murders of the two girls in the Delphi, 2017. This is from police updates. All those things happening at the same time, certainly an indication that there's further investigation going on, and obviously they're looking for something, said former Indiana Police Detective Deputy Chief Robert Turner, who is currently an attorney in private practice now. And he said a police officer just can't go to a suspect or defendant that's in jail without getting the clearance of the defense attorney. So we look at that and click on here. This is finally when the news catches wind about the Wabash River search. So basically the same day that he gets custody switched over, that means there's negotiations going on before he got released in there. And we've been sitting here for so long without anything going. Everybody's like, oh my God, what are they looking for? What are they searching for?
And just the amount of resources and manpower and the time. It was over a month they were in that water every day.
Yeah, it was 6 weeks. It was 6
Crazy.
weeks.
Okay, yeah. So 6 weeks. It wasn't a training exercise either. That's some people say like that's no.
Yep.
And that's they even that's not where they do that kind of thing anyway. They have their own places and things. It doesn't look like that.
I loved when people
so
were
they
saying
go
that,
all
though.
the way. They go all the way out to September 28th of 2022. So it was conducted for nearly 6 weeks, right? September 28th. So then Wednesday, October 26th through the 28th here, we have where Richard Allen is arrested. On Friday, October 28th, that's where Allen is charged with 2 counts of murder and was being held without bond ahead of a jury trial scheduled for March 24th of 2023. So now we go into the press conference that happens on the 31st that they're announcing about Richard Allen and the arrest finally, right? Days later on Halloween. But what do we find out during this press conference? They are keeping the lines open for tips for the Abby and Libby hotline. And they're doing that because they're basically indicating that somebody else could be involved.
Well, they even said that in the PCA, you know, we know that's what they're doing. They said they believe there's other people involved. And what else was there that gave that indication? There was some other factor that indicated that. Oh yeah, just like you said, keeping the tip line open. Oh, and saying it's still an open investigation.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and at this time they were trying to block that the probable cause affidavit would not be released.
Mm-hmm.
And they were arguing this time that they did not want the info being released because they thought it would hurt the kid, you know, hurt their case of letting somebody know their investigative ways of how they found this.
Sure.
So,
but I think they redacted stuff out pretty well in what they did release. The judge agreed to the redacted version.
This morning, we're providing an update on the investigation into the murders of Abigail Williams and Libby German. Before we get started, I'm going to introduce you our speakers, Superintendent of the Indiana State Police, Doug Carter, the Carroll County Sheriff, Tobe Leazenby, and the Carroll County Prosecutor, Nick McClellan. I'd like to remind everyone that this continues to be an active and ongoing investigation.
At the conclusion of this press conference, we're going to answer a limited amount of questions out of respect to the investigation and the process that will follow today. We will not discuss evidence that is related to this investigation. On behalf of the Delphi Double Homicide Task Force, thank you all for your continued support. I would now like to introduce to you our first speaker, Superintendent of the Indiana State Police, Doug Carter.
Give me just a second here.
Five words you pronounce wrong 2 years before your brain starts shutting down.
What the heck?
Dementia is
obviously by commercial, my brain's shutting down and I need a toenail clipper.
But today is different.
Sounds right. Sounds right.
I want there to be any confusion or ambiguity with what I'm saying. Today is not a day to celebrate, but the arrest of Richard M. Allen of Delphi on 2 counts of murder is sure a major step in leading to the conclusion of this long-term and complex investigation. First, I'd like to speak directly to Anna, Mike, Becky, Kelsey, your extended families, along with the entire Delphi community that certainly has grown and now includes our nation and even in countries around the world. I am proud to report to you that today, actually last Friday, was the day.
and an arrest has been made. Thanks to literally hundreds of media outlets that have been steadfast in reporting and keeping the memories of Abby and Libby front and center. Many of you in the room have developed relationships with me personally. And, I always have a personal perspective, and today's no different. But from a very personal perspective, you all have provided inspiration and support, even while oftentimes frustrated with us and me. You continue to encourage the efforts, and you too believe that one day we would all be here participating and sharing this news. To the entire law enforcement community, which includes all local, state, and federal agencies, which are far too many to specifically mention today, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We are going to continue a very methodical and committed approach to ensure that if any other person had any involvement in these murders in any way, that person or persons will be held accountable. Since the murders of Abby and Libby 2,086 days ago, the daily investigative team has worked tirelessly and is certainly worthy of mention today. Specifically, Sheriff Lazenby, Sheriff Carroll County, Detectives Tony Liggett, Detective retired Kevin Hammond, former Delphi chief and now the prosecutor's investigator Steve Mullins, State Police First Sergeant Jerry Holman, Detective Jay Harper, Dave Vito, and Brian Harshman, along with members of the United States Marshal Service, specifically Agent Jeremy Clinton and Agent Bill Culpers. With them today is Dan McClain, U.S. Marshal, appointed U.S. Marshal. Our State Police analysts, our scientists, from many different disciplines within our laboratory division, Mrs. Kathy Shank, for your incredible dedication to detail, and to so many others that I know I've missed. I really believe that Abby and Libby would be proud of you for standing strong, even in the face of immense pressure and perpetual criticism. Some of these individuals have postponed retirement, passed on promotional opportunity, have dedicated personal time away from their families, given up nights, weekends, and holidays, all while in the pursuit of accountability for Abby and Libby. I know that today's announcement will not diminish your resolve, and I hope you have found us today peace in this most complicated world. This is really important. While I know you are all expecting final details today concerning this arrest, today is not that day. Today's not that day. This investigation is far from complete, and we will not jeopardize its integrity by releasing or discussing documents or information before the appropriate time.
I think I won't show the video of Lazenby because I found him to be a little arrogant in that conference, just in my opinion.
I think other people did too. I've heard people say that, and a little off-putting to listen to him on.
Yeah. So we go from Wednesday, November 2nd, prosecutors in Miami County, they were asking the judge to drop all of a sudden. Remember, look at this timeline, look at the dates, look at the river search, look at the Keegan going back, look at Rich and Allen, search warrant, getting arrested. And now November 2nd, October 31st, they announced this arrest. November 2nd, prosecutors are asking the judge to drop 5 of the child porn-related charges against Keegan Klein and amend several others by the documents that were just filed. And the request by the prosecutor asked that the 5 charges against Klein be dismissed because it has been determined there isn't sufficient evidence to prove said counts beyond a reasonable doubt at the trial, and that Klein still faced his trial in January on 25 other charges. So we know about that. That hits the news about these charges being dropped. And then on Tuesday, November 29th, Judge Frangel orders the unsealing of a redacted probable cause affidavit, the charging document in the Delphi double murder investigation, which is now public. And the state lays out some of the evidence that led to Richard Allen's arrest. And I'm going to say that we were all pretty shocked because I thought there would be more there.
Yeah.
And I was shocked also because they kept leading to, well, if we release this, this could give a hint to another suspect, right? They kind of made it that way, sound like, okay, if this gets out there, it's going to show our investigative ways or whatever, and it can possibly give a heads up to a second person they're charging. Mm-hmm. So if it is that way, then it's very secretly that way, because I didn't see it up front of how it was going to expose another suspect, right? Unless,
well, I think that don't you think that that was redacted out? We don't have the full PCA and stuff I would think stuff regarding other suspects would not really be that much in there. It might have a little bit of a hint to the other people or person that is involved. So that I think it was just redacted out because the statement that I don't know. I would think that the DA would say that and then make a redacted one that is released to take out the stuff that they're worried about. Don't you think? Or am I looking at that wrong?
I mean, the probable cause doesn't have to list every bit of evidence that they have. Although the prosecutor does have to share that with the defense attorney. The probable cause was just used to walk in the door, get him arrested, and then the search warrant. So the one information that we haven't seen is what was the reasoning for the search warrant? What led to the search warrant?
That's a different PCA that they haven't put out there.
We have not seen that. And the worry about that is because he has an attorney that is famous for getting those thrown out. And he has a murder charge that he was conducting now, that he had a search warrant that was thrown out and it got rid of some evidence.
Triple homicide.
Yeah. And it makes you worry. Hopefully everything was written well in the search warrant so that nothing's lost from what they found. Obviously, the big thing that we heard about was the bullet, and that the bullet, they were talking about how they were looking at the markings and stuff from the bullet being loaded. But then we have other info that really hasn't been shared out there that they took out of the house. And I would argue one of the most important things they took is his car, because he still has his car. And if he loaded into his car after this homicide of the 2 girls, then that means that there would be blood inside that car, regardless of how well you cleaned it, or even if you had evil CJ, who used to detail vehicles back in the day, can tell you that you're not going to get blood out of there and DNA. So if that's in there, I think the story's done, because that's pretty hard evidence to find in the car if they find that, and if it doesn't get thrown out.
Yeah.
So we get to December 2nd, judge issues the temporary gag order. That's basically because the attorneys, the defense attorneys came out blabbing, right? Talking all kinds of stuff.
Right.
And then that basically meant that prosecutors, defense, police, and family members were barred from talking publicly about the case. So there'll be one on the 13th to review if the gag order will be temporary or remain in place. And then they're going to hear if they're going to move the trial. I believe they'll also have that bail hearing is supposed to be on February 17th. So the gag order, I bet you $1 million that stays in place.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they're trying to ask for at least 150 miles. And if they do that, you're talking on the very edge of Indiana, southern tip of Indiana, to go out that far. So, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I think they do a change of venue. I don't know if they would go that far or bring in a jury.
Asking ain't getting. They're going to ask for something that's going to be in their favor. When you do that 150-mile radius, there ain't nothing there. And I think the judge is going to do the right thing. She'll put it where it needs. She'll move it to where it needs to be. And, I think it'll all work out. I'm curious though. I want to know if down the road, I wish I could get in a time machine and see. I want to know if the jury is going to end up being sequestered. And I'm very interested in the process now in court.
I mean, I guess for me, it's hard to believe because when they talk about the jury and they say about, well, nobody from this part of Indiana is going to hear it from this county. I mean, that's hard for me to believe. And I know there are people who don't know about the case.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope if people who do know about the case don't be stupid and try to be a juror and ruin it and get the case thrown out.
Oh, God, that'd be awful.
Because you're going to screw it up. So if you're watching the show, you're not a potential juror. But
right.
But when I look at that, I mean, our group of us here, we're all over the United States, and then one of us is out of the United States. So
and that's just 5 randos from the internet,
Right. So it's just so hard for me to believe of a county in Indiana that people haven't heard about the case somewhat. So it's interesting, it's just interesting on what they'll do. Now, the bail hearing, normally Indiana does not allow bail if you're charged with murder. And if there's, good evidence to prove that you should be in there. That's why the defense attorneys were coming out to argue, because they want to try to sway people that there's not enough evidence to put him in jail. But again, that's not all the evidence.
No. And I want them to do a good job. I don't really like the razzle dazzle, that we saw from the defense attorneys that very first time, but I want them to be, represent him well. And that's just to avoid, any kind of mistrial, hung jury, or hung jury could happen, but, just no complications and possibility for appeal. Ugh.
Yeah, absolutely.
Want it to be fair and upfront. Yeah.
Fair. And everybody deserves a fair trial in this country.
Absolutely.
Well, and then here we go to, the more recent on December 12th, we find out that they're going to have those closed door hearings to discuss paying for his representation. So they basically, because the defense is appointed to him, Indiana as taxpayers are paying for that. And they want to argue that they should be able to get money and stuff for expenses so they can cover their cost of their investigation and including payment of expert witnesses. And they don't want that to be public because they say that if the public knows, then we're going to know what their strategy is against the prosecutors, right? What they're going to say that their defense and stuff is from that. I don't know. That kind of bothers me because when you get an expert witness and the defense pays you to come in to say it, I'm sorry, it just sounds.
Well, you're getting paid to say what they want you to say.
Right.
Sorry, but
I'm ready for the battle of the expert witnesses. I love that. I love that stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Exactly.
And I would love for them to come in with like some famous people. right? Like some serious famous people would come into this case. And
oh my gosh.
What's that guy's name? Lee? Remember, you know what I'm talking about? Is it Anthony Lee or something like that? I mean, I could just pull up. They probably all will be at Crime Con, right? I would see all the experts and say, "We want you to do this case. Please come in." Or that old guy who shows up on shows all the time.
What, the one that was part of Casey Anthony case?
Yeah, he's got white hair and then he's got little glasses and stuff, and he always comments on that. And it's just interesting. I'm sure the other thing is that some evidence that they got out of Richard Allen's house will be added evidence to whatever else that they have going on. So I don't know about everybody else. I just can't shake my opinion that I feel like Keegan Klein may have shared info about Richard Allen. I just feel like there is a good percentile. The way everything happened about him going in, them searching the water, suddenly Richard Allen gets checked.
Right.
Yeah, there's something there. I'll be curious to find out exactly what role he played in that. He might have known a little bit of information about this guy. Usually with stuff like that, you just know like a username or some kind of alias that they go by. You might not know a proper name of the person, but he might have been able to give enough of what he knew for them to go back and find him possibly in those files.
The other thing that bothers me too is the Anthony Schatz profile had been speaking with Libby the night before and the day of. And it's just pretty ironic. Someone who technically is not involved with the Anthony Schatz profile just happens to show up at the bridge. I mean,
oh gosh,
just a little ironic to me. I mean,
it's very ironic. It's pretty much implausible that
exactly
is even a thing. That's
again, in my opinion, I will say. But
yeah, I mean, I think so on the discussion of we think that there's somebody else involved, I don't think for me, I don't think there's a question that there is. I don't think I think the press conference on the 31st of October and them leaving the line open clearly is stating that there's somebody else involved with the case.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't feel after that, I don't feel like there's any doubt that there's somebody else involved.
Yep. Somebody's going to roll. Somebody's going to talk. It'll come out. We just need to, it'll take some time.
And my theory is Richard Allen is not going to talk until after he finds out that he doesn't get bail. But with the attorneys he has, I don't think that they're going to be willing to just bow out and say that, yeah, just do a plea deal. That's not their style. That they fight it. So, but if they come up with more evidence and, maybe they come back and say, guess what? We checked your car. We found DNA. We found blood in it. So we'll take the death penalty off the table if you tell us what's going on and everybody who was involved.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. And, with Keegan's stuff, it still says that they are in negotiations. That's still there in the my case summary. And it's just what it says, black and white, plain English. So take that for what it's worth.
Right there to be seen.
Mm-hmm. And as far as Richard Allen, if he is truly innocent and had nothing to do with it, then why the hell did he not come and identify himself as the bridge guy? And, if anything, he should be like charged with something for, not identifying himself properly, for coming forward about him being the one that they were looking for on the bridge, because they said they wanted to talk to the guy, that he wasn't a person of interest initially, that whoever this is, we just want to talk to you and see what you saw that day.
Right.
And he didn't. I don't care if he talked to a conservation officer outside the grocery store one day on the fly. That's some bull crap.
Yeah.
He's not a good person.
He was not forthcoming.
He's got to answer for some questions with that at the very least, if he's exonerated or whatever.
Well,
But he's not going to be.
He did exactly. It was perfect with it. He could sit here and go, "Well, I did come forward." It's just he went forward to
but after that, possibly after that, we don't know the exact time frame of when he made his statement to this guy in the parking lot of a grocery store or whatever. Like seriously, if it was very early on, there were plenty of opportunities knowing that that's his frickin' face, that's him on the bridge, that's what he was wearing, and it's been all over everything for how many years now. And he could have told them, you need to remove this. You need to be looking other places. That's me. Because, they were mistaken then. They took his statement and they didn't understand or something happened. Go clear it up.
Duncan in chat here, she's saying that he did come forward. It's not his fault if the police didn't think it was him in the video. He identified himself. The only thing for me, Duncan, on that, and please don't take this the wrong way, but a conservation officer is not a police officer. They ask them to come to the police themselves.
Right.
And, to me, that's kind of going around what they had asked him to do. But again, that's in my opinion, hon. So, I'm not trying to.
Yeah. Well, and I think that no matter what, I mean, if people are looking into something, I mean, and they're looking into a murder case, and the police are on television asking if you're this person, come forward, and then they turn it into now you're a suspect, right? You're a person of interest, and then we want this vehicle who was parked here, and you don't come forward. You're not coming forward to the authorities. You went to a conservation officer. How? The conservation officer isn't the one who put out the info about getting the info. It's the local police. It was the state police and the Delphi police. It wasn't the let's come to the wildlife services group and tell them that you were at the park, which then it makes me blame the conservation officer who should have really emphasized this information to somebody, unless they were already friends with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Which is certainly possible. I mean, we're talking a small community,
Right.
We're not talking a large community.
Right.
So,
and
they were helping with the search and stuff. They were there and they were involved. These type of officers, conservation officers, they know the terrain, they know the area. I mean, they have that kind of knowledge of these places, these parks and whatnot. So it's not to cut down anybody for having that job. I mean, that's
no.
And I'm not saying anybody here is doing that either. I'm just saying I feel like he's so shady with his behavior during all of this. And if there is a murderer of children in your small town, and that that's you on the bridge, and that police are wrong-headed in their investigation, then get it right, set it right, so you can find that murderer, the murderer of children. I don't. I'm getting preachy, but I get fired up about this guy.
Well, and we know that the information that came out also with the murder sheet that was shared by Keegan Klein was that he was sitting waiting in a vehicle, right? And that supposedly the vehicle was supposed to be a red Jeep. And we have that information where we know that the FBI had went to a gas station, and when they went to the gas station, they were trying to get video of that gas station. They could not get it to download on that drive, and so it was given. The hard drive was actually given to the FBI, and somehow that is gone.
Maybe
that is gone. And that if that does have somebody sitting there waiting in a vehicle, that's a lot of pertinent information right there.
Sure.
So, I mean, I think no matter what in the case, you can't ignore that an Anthony Schatz profile was trying and did set up a meeting with Libby in the park. It admits that, right? He admits that that there's a communication, electronic, digital forensics that shows the Anthony Shots profile was trying to schedule that meeting. And then if you've got Keegan Klein sitting out there in a vehicle waiting for somebody, does he have to wait for Richard Allen? Richard Allen, works 5 minutes away from there, lives not just a little bit farther from that in walking distance. So, it's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, well. And all the cars that they're speaking of, but we've obviously, as we said before, we looked into that and,
Yeah, I mean, let me say this. I feel like the obvious point is Richard Allen is the first person who has come forward and admitted he's there during the time of the murders.
Mm-hmm.
He was wearing the same clothes.
Yep.
That he saw the same 3 girls that the witness girls saw him. Right? They saw him. Those witnesses, which I'm going to say, wow, for those girls, teenage girls, to have that happen to them, that is so scary that they would know that they saw this person. And, that's crazy. So, just to say that about him, I'm sure and I'm hopeful that more information will be found. And I think that we're going to find out more details of things that maybe they pulled out of his house, including about the car. So
correct.
I'm looking at chat. The girls died on the same day. They were murdered the same day, but they allowed the parents to choose what would be on the death certificate, whether the day that they were actually murdered and missing, or the day they were found. So they allow them to choose that. So that was our kind of comprehensive breakdown. I think one of the biggest things for me that when we looked at it was just the timing of everything, the timing of the second search warrant on the Klein's home at the time that Channel 8 was going to release materials about Anthony Shots and Keegan Klein, and that it kind of forced the hand of the Indiana State Police to do that late night press conference. And because they had to do the press conference, they knew that there would be a heads up to people that they were looking into Keegan as Anthony Shots, the profile talking in the Delphi murders. So that is why I believe that all of a sudden that search warrant happened before anything could be destroyed,
Right. Well, and and Doug Carter also said, that they were, hiding in plain sight.
Yeah.
What's more plain sight than, he worked at CVS. How far away was that?
Yeah.
It just.
And I, again, in my opinion, and this is total speculation, but in my opinion, I feel like Tony Klein may have a part in this.
Agreed.
Because I feel like no matter what, he had a part in the CSAM when they're talking about 2 different people are talking using Anthony Shots' profile and are talking to these girls.
Agreed.
So,
again, like you said, in my opinion, also, I agree with you. That's just speculation on our part, something that we feel, but yes, in our opinion. But I mean, and I also go back to the fact of what Keegan, in his interview, the couple of things he did say about his father, that I think some people kind of overlook, that he would be capable of that. Not saying he did it, but he could be capable of that, So, again, in my opinion, from what I took away from the interview,
Yeah.
I will again say that. But
well,
yes,
I think, like we said, I mean, we I will say our group has always been watching people who had been busted for CSAM, not only from the ring investigation, but also right after Keegan got arrested. There's a lot of interesting people in that. It shows about, the show itself talks about the people who have been arrested right after Keegan Klein and who will be arrested now after Richard Allen, because I do think there's going to be continuous more people, and in my opinion, possibly an FBI bust that will happen with another group of people who have been dealing with CSAM and have been using that and busting that. I think the reason they would not say that Anthony Shantz and Keegan Klein was in jail for that whole year is because they watched that account. Who was accessing that account still? Who was communicating?
Right.
As Anthony Shantz. So.
And it is kind of funny that it was the only phone that was left behind of all 5 phones.
Yep. Yep.
So just another little side point, but again, in my opinion,
Well, and remember, I think the other interesting thing that we've all heard has been too, when we're talking about those search warrants and stuff that they did, if you remember, we heard about the search warrants going on that were looking at fire pits. So, what were they looking at that could have been evidence that could have been destroyed? We know that they say that souvenirs were taken from the girls, right? Which a criminal does that. I mean, that really reminds me more of a serial killer behavior. So you're like, wow, has there been a connection to other stuff before or some type of thing in order to take that? If the girls were posed, where are the pictures of that on there? I don't think they'd hold, it could be on a USB drive. It could be on anything. Because I really feel like, I just think Richard Allen, did he really think that they were going to get murdered, or was it just going to be sexual assault? And I say that because he's wearing a jacket he wears to work.
Right.
He's wearing jeans.
He was caught on the, on the picture in that same jacket.
Right. And
in the car.
And he's seen a bunch of times, but he doesn't abort. Right.
Right.
But was it him? Again, remember, the charges are, they don't have to prove that he murdered. Again, it's like that bank robbery theory. I'm sitting outside and Amy's robbing the bank, and I sit outside and Amy shoots somebody. Well, I'm getting charged with murder too, because they did.
Right.
So go ahead.
Real quick, not to interrupt you. I'm sorry. Grizz in the comments had just commented about, which something we all discussed, about the storage unit at the end of the cul-de-sac there, about changing the clothes potentially, Chris, we had actually, that's something we had all discussed too. we had kind of questioned that ourselves.
We did a lot of mapping out from around the area and stuff before, and we did literally have this conversation with the team here. Because we were all like, okay, wait a minute, there is a storage unit there, and could something be used or whatever? I mean, I think that's why they checked all the outbuildings and things like that too, because they were trying to figure. But remember, we have an eyewitness who saw somebody on County Road 300 North heading to the car who was muddy and bloody.
Right.
So, we got to remember that too. Now, I will say this, and we are aware. I think, Amy, you would agree, and Mama Bear, we are aware that there were more people on that trail that day who saw things who are not in the probable cause affidavit.
Sure.
And that I'll say it this way. In my opinion, the reason is because they saw somebody, but that person was not Richard Allen. Is that fair to say, guys?
I would have to agree with you.
I agree with you 100%.
In my opinion also.
I believe that flannel shirt guy saw somebody, and that somebody better be sweating right now.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
crap in his pants.
I think,
Yes.
and I think maybe that's see, we read that probable cause affidavit and we don't think anything of it. It's like, wow, that's not saying anything, but it is, because
It's what
if
it's
this
not
other
saying.
person is known that they met up with somebody on going back towards the high bridge, right? Going back towards the highway.
Right.
And they run into flannel shirt guy, which this is what we've heard a long time ago. Then that person can't be Richard Allen because he's on County Road 300 North. So who came out of the woods and met up at the trail and ended up bumping into flannel shirt guy? And that guy is this, I believe, is the second person. And I'm going to do a wide speculation. In my opinion, this is total me. I feel like it's Tony Klein. I'm just going to say it.
That's shocking.
I know you're shocked by that.
Even saying,
How
stop
could you
it.
say that, JC?
Stop
Come on.
And you know my reasoning, but they're laughing because I've said it the whole time. The reason I said it too is because I don't think that Keegan Klein would wait in a vehicle to go help Richard Allen. I think Keegan Klein would have to go sit and wait in a car to pick up or help his dad.
He's on his phone eating Doritos in the marathon parking lot.
I knew she was going to
with his cheesy fingers all over everything. I'm
Oh,
telling you that he is not good at hiking. He is not an outdoorsy guy. He's an indoor boy. The daddy is the hunter. Sorry.
Well,
he loves to
that's
hunt.
why
He
I go
loves
back-
to pull deer. He can pull deer, all
That's
that.
why I go back to his interview. What did he say in his interview? So.
See, and right now, I think, I do have a video on why Tony Klein has not been arrested yet at this point, and that's involving a lot of the whole CSAM story and everything like that. But right now, they were going to have trouble breaking down the electronic forensics of their stuff because they're sitting in the same house using the same IP address, using the same devices, using this one same thing in there. So, they have to get more proof that this second person was there. And my worry is that proof is going to have to be human intelligence, right? It's going to have to be maybe a Keegan saying it's him. But if you only have Keegan telling you something, is the jury going to goddamn believe Keegan Klein? Give me a break, right?
The lies that he's told.
Tear that up. So then they're going to turn around and they're going to have, where they go and ask Richard Allen of who else is involved. And maybe, God help us, maybe Richard Allen and them have an electronic connection too that they find after they searched his house.
Real quick too, honey. Grizz again in the panel. I apologize. They're asking, does the panel think there is a snuff film?
I think it's very possible. We've talked about that could be the purpose of it.
Yes.
I do
think we all
believe so,
agree with
yes.
that. Yes. In our opinion. Again, that's in our opinion.
Yep. I mean, you don't know if somebody, if they were checking out the scene early, because if you remember in some of the information when one of the guys talked about he saw a vehicle parked on the side of the road starting at 9 a.m. that day. So was that somebody looking at the location, figuring out where to be, where to go? Could have they had a camera or something, set up out there? When they take the girls, they would know exactly where. Sure.
Well, it wouldn't be unheard of for there to be, deer cams and stuff set up in there.
Sure.
In that area. So it wouldn't have even stuck out if they had. I hate thinking about this stuff, but yes, I do believe, and I believe that's what Keegan was going to Vegas to do afterwards.
I mean, Keegan lied so much. I mean, I don't know if you guys have Wikipedia'd him, but I have, and it's hilarious. I mean, he wrote his own Wikipedia about himself, and it's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Oh, he's a photographer. What other jobs, Amy, has he had? You know them all.
He's a man of the cloth. He's first of all, he's an ordained Minister.
Right.
Yeah,
He married
that's right.
his dad and one of the wives.
He's a
Yeah.
bounty hunter. He's a DoorDash pot delivery guy before
And
DoorDash was a
Jack,
thing.
what is it? Blackjack dealer in
Oh
Vegas.
yeah. Yeah.
He's a band. He's got a rock band. He's got music.
Yeah. And then, you know, the Klein photography.
Duncan says, so what
I
if there
agree with
was
that.
no sexual motivation or related injuries? What would be the motivation? In my opinion, power and control.
Correct.
Absolutely. I believe power and control is part of it, no matter if it was or was not for sexual assault. Because honestly, sexual assault, that's what it's about anyway. It's about control. It's about power over another person. It's about that. And if they were sharing CSAM materials, this could have been an opportunity to collect CSAM. What's odd about this is the arrogance of doing this right in the middle of the day in a park.
Yes. Brazen.
Yeah.
Very brazen.
Yeah. So, you know, that's where you're like, okay, thinking of the two, I'm not thinking of the fat guy with the Doritos, thinking of the two, if they're sitting there, I mean, it just gets a sense almost that you would think, man, have they done this before? One of them, not necessarily together, but have they done it before? I mean, the only thing I imagine is that if it was sexual assault, and that's why, you know, Richard comes and he's just going to go meet these, you know, teenage girls, and he's just dressed like a normal idiot, and he's seen by all these people. He still progresses because he doesn't think something's going to happen. He goes down there. He's in charge of bringing the girls down. Somebody's down there waiting for him. And then, you know, the girls sit here and they're going to fight. They're going to fight of you're not going to let somebody commit sexual assault on you. And it got out of hand. And then so somebody, you know, with a weapon, with a knife, then started hurting the girls. And in my opinion, Richard Allen had the gun. You know, it's like Clue. Who had the gun and who had the knife?
Right. And I agree with you there. Well, who is the hunter?
Right.
I mean, I don't know about Richard, you know. I don't think we've ever really been told if he was a hunter or not, but we do know that someone else was.
Right.
You know.
Right.
And that someone else was very proud of his skill.
Oh,
and,
yes.
and proud of the chase and the hunt and the things that he did, and put it all over his social media, the idiot. So he's left quite a few interesting breadcrumbs.
Yes, absolutely. That.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think that it's going to be fascinating to find out. I think we're still far away from knowing everything, because even if today they announced that they put somebody else in custody, you know, it's going to be a while before the trial actually goes on and happen. I suspect, this is my suspicion, and maybe more of a hope than suspicion. I feel like in the beginning of January, when we go into information about Keegan Klein, we're not only going to hear about a deal that he made for the CSAM and reduced charges. I think we're going to hear a deal he made for the Delphi.
I agree. In my opinion, I agree. Yep.
So I think that they'll come out and they'll be like, you know, he shared this with us, shared this with us, and it'll be used. Remember, and Amy, you were big on this too. You heard that they said that the arrests were strategic. It was strategic why the hell this was supposed to be going on. And strategic to me doesn't mean somebody went back to page 1 and then found frickin' Richard Allen's name on it. You know what I mean? That would not be strategic.
Cal just put in chat, I think this is funny. Well, he fancies himself as a fish watcher. Yeah.
I mean, come on. Who believes that?
from
I
80
don't care.
feet
I don't care
above.
who you are.
Come
Do you
on.
believe it? Looking at a fish 70 to 80 feet up in the air. You
And I
got to be
don't think
kidding
he
me.
had binoculars. I could be wrong, but I didn't see binoculars. At least on the video.
So he decides to walk to the park and be there for 2 hours for him to be sitting here looking at the stock ticker and standing on a bridge to try to find fish.
Yep.
Here's the other thing we haven't mentioned. One part of it, we talked about some evidence and information that could be withheld on it. And remember that it talked about that Richard Allen, his updated info, talked about him sitting on a bench. You guys remember that?
Yes.
He said he commented, but he sat down on a bench, which is interesting because we talked about that maybe also a witness could have seen him sitting there waiting on a bench as another potential witness.
Absolutely. In our opinion.
Yeah.
In that part, in our opinion.
So is there anything we didn't cover or any questions that anybody had that we didn't answer, guys?
I'm looking.
I work on the theory of probability, and the probability that JCW and DCP did this is overwhelmingly higher than RA. Good luck at the dentist, Amy. We love you.
Bye, Anne. Love you, honey.
I will say I am so thrilled that the team got to be here. I wish Kelt would have been popped up here as well. I knew she'd try to get out of that one. We'll get her, but that the whole team is here. Again,
By the way, Paige apologized. She's having weather issues
right
now overseas. So.
Yes, Paige does not live in this country, but she knows the case very well and has been very passionate about it. And I am very honored that I got to meet these ladies and work with them, and that we started our group and really emphasized on a bunch of cases. You wouldn't imagine how many cases we have in our files and stuff like that. It does take me a while to do some of the cases, and that's just because, one, of timing for everybody, right? And two, it's because we dive deep and we look at a lot of stuff. So, we try to get in there and get information. As you saw, our info that we do is linked to news stories and everything that we find and information that we find from it. So, but I do love working with these ladies and doing stuff. So, Mama Bear.
We love you.
Thank you.
JSD, this woman, I have to say, I'm sorry, I got to take the floor from you a second here. This woman, JSD, she is an amazing woman, truly. And she is one to be reckoned with. She is truly amazing. I mean, don't get me wrong, the whole group is amazing. Amy, Cal, Paige, everybody. But JSD, I mean, seriously, you deserve so much, and I just adore you.
No, well, I appreciate you guys too, and it's a really good team, and we look up info and watch what's going on. And when we get stuff, sometimes we don't necessarily bring it out yet because we're waiting to confirm something. We don't want to provide something that is incorrect for you, and we don't want to just go off of rumor. We're going to try to provide details and stuff, and if we're doing some speculation or in our opinion stuff, we make sure to bring that out. So this is a passion and stuff for us, especially this case, because it brought us all together, and we care about Abby and Libby, and we want the answers to be found, and we want it done correctly so nothing can alter this case and stuff like that too. So
absolutely.
And we do appreciate everybody in here. I will make sure to remind you guys, if you can hit subscribe and hit that like button, it helps out a great deal. Also, we are doing another drawing. So once we hit 500, we are going to be doing another drawing for the Discovery Plus 6-month membership thing. And I will say that CJ was our previous winner. So congratulations, CJ. Did you get that in here? Did CJ, have you turned that on? Are you enjoying that? I just made him he doesn't know this, but I made him a moderator today too.
Yeah, he saw. He thanked you and everything for it.
Yeah, so
CJ's wonderful.
Just so he has a fun show. He goes every night. I don't know how he does that. But I appreciate all of you coming in and going this case. We didn't know if we'd go through it the whole one, but my God, we got so far. It was like, let's just get it done. So apologize, it's longer than we thought, but there you go. So yeah, so I appreciate everybody being here. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Please share, encourage others to subscribe, and we'll do another drawing when we reach 500. And yeah, I'm just logging in, but I will watch the playback. Hi, Cherry.
Oh, it's Cherry. Hi, Cherry.
Yes, it went a little longer, but we got through the whole thing, though. We got through the whole thing.
We weren't planning on going this long.
Yeah, we thought we would go shorter, but it was just like, let's just finish it. Let's get it, because it's hard to get us all together at the same time, because we're all across the United States, and then one is across the pond, like I share, which you could tell by Paige's voice that was her. I love her accent, though.
Well, we're a close, tight group, so we're very blessed to have one another. So, and we are blessed to have all you guys being here with us. So we thank you all, and for being here, because that's why we do this.
I will say, and I don't think I can yet get it out. I'm trying to think. I probably not say exactly yet. I have some details, some information that I asked for that we're waiting on. That will be eye-opening in this case. See, Mama Bear, I'm not sure to release that yet. I haven't got it yet, but it's in the works, and it'll be an interesting thing to look at. I don't know if I can give any type of hint, but I'll put it this way. It's Keegan related. How about that? We have some information that's going to be coming that is Keegan related, and yeah. It'll be.
You're just giving them a little bone there.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And then I'm hoping to finish the second half. Believe it or not, I'm still waiting on the Hammond, Indiana Police Department for the Deborah Fulton case, and but they had to actually, the attorney for them had to actually go back to the original detectives to talk to them about some of the info before. They would release some stuff. So it's getting closer, and that case is near and dear to my heart too. We have some other ones that I know people have brought up to us, but if there's a case and something out there too that you guys have an interest in, please comment and let us know. And I know you can watch whatever you want to watch, and I appreciate you taking the time to watch us. Yes. And as we get updates and things that go on with the Delphi case, of course, we'll do stuff. And I really feel like we're going to hear something of negotiations with Keegan about that. That's my guess. So I really do.
And it's all about, we want justice for Abby and Libby.
Absolutely. And we appreciate you guys being here, and we love you all. And thank you for helping us make sure that justice is served daily.
Bye, guys.